Oh, yeah. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Okay, there we go.
Did you get that out?
Yeah, I had to get that out. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How y'all doing today? We're going to get into the intro here in a bit. Again, I like starting on time, so I wanted to make sure to do that. So enjoy as we get into it. I do have some Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga gameplay for you all today. So hopefully you enjoy that. It's only about an hour and a half or so. But I did want to get something in the background just because of how well Lego's doing with this game. And then can't deny how beautiful it looks, man. Like, even for a Lego game, like, it's just crazy attention to detail. Even the Lego games are next generation. No.
Is that ray tracing I see?
Yeah, it should be. No, it's not. It's not. Unfortunately, no, it's not ray tracing. I got
boy.
I got some number tracing though for you.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
You
just
trace some numbers.
What? Yeah, I'm gonna trace some numbers.
Okay, bad.
Was there ray tracing on that gator you killed this morning, Skin?
Was there ray tracing on that gator? Considering the gator was in real life, I don't think I needed any baked in or implemented ray tracing or lighting factors when I skinned that gator this morning.
Okay, all right. For people who don't know, I was giving Steel a hard time about the Florida stigmas. That they just have gators running around their backyard, and that he just wakes up in the morning, goes outside, picks one up, skins it, and starts cooking it, and they eat gator meat all day. That's what it. Floridans do.
Gator jerky, baked the gator. That's just what I do. As soon as I wake up, I go outside, I catch a fresh catfish, skin the gator, and it's the start of my day. What's the other Florida thing? I'm gonna get in the Cutlass Supreme, sitting on 22s. I got all leather interior.
Oh, damn.
You know what I'm saying? I got, instead of speakers inside the car, I got speakers outside the car also, because I want you to know what I'm listening to. And I want to play it dumb loud. So that's another thing that we do. I'm probably, if you ever hear somebody beating down your block, what I mean by that is it's just subs that are just shaking in your neighborhood. You hear these reverberations.
Oh, I thought you meant going around beating up people on the block, just randomly.
No.
That happens in Florida too, by the way.
Not unless it's provoked. Not unless you're like some random homeless dude, then there might be some random fights going on.
That's what I'm saying. You just walk around the neighborhood beating up random people, man. That's what goes on.
I think that happens anywhere, Paul. Like, just to be completely honest.
Nah, only in Florida. Only in Florida.
Yeah. Everything is only in Florida. No other place can have the crazy things that go on. It has to be only in Florida. Oh my God, y'all are stupid.
Wearing bright orange or yellow, ATL says.
See, ATL knows what's popping. Exactly. Wearing bright orange or yellow. I got the SpongeBob car. It's actually gangster SpongeBob on the whip. He's in the back, sitting on the side of the car like this, gold in his mouth. You know what I'm saying? Bandana around his square ass head. Yeah. That's Florida right there.
Yo, what's going on, chat? Good to see you all. This is, for those of you who have not seen my post, officially Super Stellar Saturday. That's right, because not only do you get Steel and I, Super Stellar. That's right, man. Not just Stellar, Super Stellar Saturday, because not only do you get Steel and I this morning, but then right after our show, 2 p.m. Eastern, CIS 2022, over on Wandering Dutch's channel. That's right. Community 100%. Indie Showcase premieres live today. I will definitely be in the chat. I don't know what Steel's got going on, but I will be there. Man, over 100 indie titles are going to be shown. So please check that out as well. And then tonight, the Shop Podcast with PTK Blam is episode 250. And the amazing, the one, the only Tim Dog is going to be joining us tonight on the Shop Podcast. So we got a full Saturday for you all planned. And whatever you guys got going on, guess what? You're going to get some good talk today. You're going to get some awesome showings. Again, CIS 2022 is going to be huge. Aaron Greenberg has a bit in that. So please set those alarms, set those reminders. And if you got the time, stop on by and take a watch, because it's going to be a good time over there for sure. So,
yeah, no, that's 100%. If there's any day like today, is definitely a midweek mix-up collective kind of day for sure. Got a lot of action going on today. Again, Living Splitscreen now, CIS Community Indie Showcase 2022. That's going to be happening after the show. I believe it's probably going to be probably like an hour after the show usually, because we go kind of long. But and then like Pong said, man, you got the shop where it's just nonstop action.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think that's a beautiful thing, man. Again, hopefully you guys are into that while you're getting your gaming in and everything. I know for me personally, I've just been trying to move through some things. We'll get into that in a minute. Pong, man.
Sick. Sick. Sorry, I'm laughing. Yeah. Oh my God. You go way back, man. You go back. I remember that. Of course, that was a big deal, man. I go back as far as Faces of Death, for anybody who remembers that VCR tape running around. All the old heads in here. Faces of Death was before we had cable, before we really had internet. And man, a collection of the craziest stuff that I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, I definitely go back to that sick for sure. Go ahead, Steel. Sorry.
No, I was actually getting ready to intro the show and everything. Just getting ready to. I'm still getting stuff set up though. So
yeah, you're still getting stuff set up.
No, I was actually gonna ask. While we're in the background, man. I mean, I got a few things written down here. I got console sales, VG charts. I got the Halo update. Again, as much as people don't care about Halo and want Halo Infinite to fail, or feel like people going back to MCC is a failure, god damn, Halo just can't get out of the conversation, huh? Like either way, I mean, we're talking about it, so it's like a lot of interesting things to say there. I know we did want to talk about because you wanted to challenge my God of War take, so we can get into that early.
Get some smoke. You sound so excited, Steel. You sound so excited. Look, man.
I mean, I'm always excited. I'm always excited. So I think that's gonna be an interesting conversation to have. Because I mean, again, I'm of a couple minds on it, but I am gonna stick with my 2023 kind of opinion thus far, and I'll explain those reasons and everything. And then Pong will give you his facts and the multitude of different things that we have seen to indicate that it is probably going to end up releasing this year. But again, I don't mind offering a differing opinion, so nothing wrong with that. While Paul was over here laughing about it.
You just the enthusiasm to defend your point, sir. Just joking.
Just the enthusiasm. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, sorry if you can tell or not. I'm lacking enthusiasm, but it's there. It's there around the corner somewhere. I'm just I've been dealing with some mouth and teeth pain and shit. So I've just been dealing with that for a week. It puts me in a really weird place mentally, because I'm like dealing with it, but at the same time, it's like, okay, it's to the point to where like it's not necessarily like, oh man, I'm in excruciating pain. But when you have this pain that you've just been kind of, it's like when you get a headache, right? You get a headache, it's a little headache, you ignore it. After some time, like you take medicine or whatever the case might be, or you take stuff to help take the edge off. And after a while, you notice that the edge just isn't off. Like it's still there. So you're like low-key dealing with it in the background. And it's just like, it gets annoying after a while. So like at the end of the day, you're like, man, I'm just fucking tired of dealing with the fucking pain all day. Like it's one of those things.
Mouth pain is the absolute worst, brother. So it's like a headache. Like, see, for me, headaches are my absolute worst. Yeah. I hate them. But mouth pain is like basically that same level, because it goes everywhere. It can't stop it. And it just, oh man, it's awful.
And that's kind of the thing with me. I mean, I don't promote drugs or nothing. That's a past life. But got some of that good old hydrocodone going on. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's right. Because that's what you do in Florida. You just pop those morning, right?
I just pop.
That's how Floridans start their mornings. I mean, it fits right in.
With a fresh cup of lean, I got the purple, got the spray, got it mixed up in the baby bottle already, ready to go.
See, you're proving my point, brother. See, this is how it works.
Hey, I'm not here to deny the some of those allegations and stipulations you guys got on us out here.
They just hand them out like Skittles, man. Oxycodone. They just hand them out like Skittles down there. They're like Skittles down there.
Yeah, you go down to the corner store. It's right there, right there on the on the counter, man. Hey, let me get 2 of those for about $1.50. Stupid. Fucking stupid.
Oh shit. What a good morning. You guys can't tell, we're already fired up, man. We're already fired up. We got stuff going on.
100%.
Steel and I might get into some of that VG chart smoke.
Oh, we definitely will.
Definitely get into that. Probably got some rants coming up here for sure.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about what we've learned from the community. Again, you know, I'm never going to tell people who they need to listen to, who they need to pay attention to, who you need to go to for your content, man. I mean, everybody has their own thing. People like smoke, people like drama. Again, that's why a lot of TV is popular because of that, reality TV and things like that. People love that type of shit. I do want to let y'all know that unfortunately, I mean, we're gonna bring the smoke too, but unfortunately, we're not, for lack of a better way to put it, weak-minded in a way that I'm going to get emotional and try to get personal with people especially about gaming topics, gaming subjects.
Never do that.
That shit just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. And I mean, again, everybody's different. If you're into that, the shit is funny. When you see it, it's funny. But at the same time, to me personally, it comes across embarrassing. For those who know what we're talking about, there's some interesting things that happened on Crossfire. If y'all want to check that out. Some of the topics that were in there, we are going to talk about today just because it has been a subject throughout the week as far as VG charts and whether there's something that we can look at and really get some good numbers off of, or whether they're not taken serious. People, apparently there's this thing going around where, I don't know, man, like I never paid attention to numbers like that until I jumped into the community. And even as I jumped into the community, I still don't give a damn about numbers like that. Because I care about my opinion and I care about y'all's opinion. And I like to hear differing opinions and for people to say why they may not be interested in a certain thing for whichever reason. And then us having that open conversation. I feel like that's such an interesting thing because, again, for me personally, like I've stated on the show before, I grew up as somebody who had to pay attention or look at the type of games that they were buying. And then I had to extend that experience out for some time. So, it makes a lot of sense when I go into multiplayer games because they have that longevity in them. So I just have a different perspective on how I look at games. So when I hear Pong talk about games, or I hear other people talk about games and the love that they have for single player games, especially, and what that brings, it offers me a differing opinion that I probably wasn't thinking about before. And I think that's a unique thing about the community. And that's just using something as an easy topic to kind of base things off of. But yeah, we'll get into it.
We will get into it. Hey, quick shout out too. Before we start. Quick shout out to 108 Dragons, to the Iron Lords that are all out at PAX again, doing the groundwork in this community. 100%. Man, I'm jealous. I know both Steel and I wish we could be there with those guys and with everybody else who is out there right now, man. It looks like a blast. In-game events are back, or in-person events are back, and it's great to see members of this community out there doing that good work, getting those interviews, checking out the games, giving us some live stuff. It's really fantastic to see that again, and I can't wait till get to a point where I can start doing that. Steel's the same boat with me. We want to do that stuff too, but man, it's just awesome. And shout out, extra special shout out to the Iron Lords for getting those media badges. Yeah, man, they're putting in the work, and those guys have done everything the right way, as Steel just got done talking about some of the wrong way to get attention. Iron Lords don't do it that way. They do it the right way, and they're getting the respect that they deserve and doing big things out there. So shout out to them and everybody else who is out at PAX right now, man. Have a great time out there.
No, that's 100% now. We have to show love to the people who are out there putting in the work, because that's what it's really about. The the dedication, that speaks deeper than just the, you know, the times conversations that we have on our podcast and on Twitter and everything else. Being able to go to, that's one of my ambitions, and you know, to go to something like an E3, be able to walk the floor, talk to different gamers, see people dress up, talk to different devs, and you know, I would love to do that every year. You know, you get that LSS content, Living Splitscreen content of us coming to you live from an event and, you know, getting our takes with the dev. Now, mind you, they're not going to sit down 2-3 hours with us trying to just talk about bullshit. So, you know, of course, you would definitely be able to see, you know, Living Splitscreen give you that, everything that you get from a show, but could really condense it down to like dev diaries and developer talks and things like that. And actually, I think me and Pong at some point would love to do that on the show. But it's just about timing, man. It takes time to send out emails, takes time to get people lined up, it takes time to get things set up. I'm extremely particular and don't want to do everything the same as everybody else. You know what I mean? It's part of the reason why Living Splitscreen, you still get that duo screen kind of set up on our show, because again, it's split screen. I want you guys to get that kind of feeling, and I've been trying to stay as true to that as possible, just trying to do something a little bit differently than what normal people do. But again, we're always going to take, you know, the little things from each other and kind of grow off of that. But yeah. Either way, I do feel like we got a lot of interesting things to talk about today, man. A lot of passionate topics too, but let's dive into it. It is time to get into the show, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you are ready, and we're gonna get into it. And 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 53 of the Living Splitscreen Morning Show, here with your guys from LSS itself. As it states in the initials, like, share, and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. That is just something we got to take advantage of. We want to get more out there, get more attention out there. For those who are listening on the audio platform side, we greatly appreciate you also. Seems like we've been getting some solid traction there, so that's always a beautiful thing. We don't promote it enough, I feel like, personally, and I can only blame me and us on that, but that's perfectly fine. We'll continue to grow that. Again, a lot of people say it's about consistency, so we're going to continue to be consistent. Again, we just had episode 52 last weekend, signifying a year of doing this podcasting thing, and that's such a beautiful thing. We had some emotional moments on that one, so definitely check that out on the back end. If you want to catch up, again, we've been doing this thing where everything has been timestamped, so whether you're listening on the video side or you're listening on the audio side, we try to make sure that those timestamps are there for you guys, so you guys don't have to listen to the entire show, right? We know we run a longer show. That's part of the reason why, you know, we wanted to start doing timestamps and everything, just to make it easier for other people. I do feel like I could take a supreme advantage of that and just break our show down in hour pieces to make it more consumable. And I probably would if I had the time to do it, but that's neither here or there. Again, welcome to episode 53 with Living Splitscreen, where we go live every Saturday, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. UK time. We are sponsored and hosted by Midweek Mix-Up Collective. Shout out to Wandering Dutch and the amazing gentlemen over this way. Also, with that being said, today is also the day after Living Splitscreen. The Community Indie Showcase 2022 is going live again, put together by the Midweek Mix-Up Collective and Wandering Dutch hosting it. There's going to be some amazing parts in that, a lot of indie games to show off and demonstrate. Again, we had a lot of different people get involved. put together. I believe Dutch just said it was over like 100 different games that are going to be displayed on this showcase. So definitely check it out. It's going to be live on YouTube, premiering. A lot of wonderful things that happen there. So shout out to that. And with that being said, I'm one of your hosts, Steel Rain. Steel Rain, the T is a 7. You can search that anywhere. But I have to pass it off to one of the most uncanny gentlemen, as I say on a week-to-week basis. My brother from another, my guy, Pong Steel. Talk to the people, man. How you feeling today? How you doing this week, man?
Season 2 is upon us, Steel. We got through season 1. We are still on mission 1K. We definitely grew some subscribers. Thank you all for helping us out with that and sharing things out and letting people know that we are here.
Yes.
And we are starting your Saturdays off right on Living Splitscreen. So thank you all for that. And thank you all for being here. Everybody who's live, all the familiar faces, love you all. Everybody who's listening to the future, guess what? We love you the same. Thank you so much for enjoying our content and helping us grow this special channel that Steel and I have going on here. Again, one show a week. Wish we could do more. It is what it is, but we give you a lot in this one show. That's for damn sure. So buckle up. 3+ hours coming at you live right now. Look, Steel, it's been a fantastic week. It's been busy. Side note, personal stuff. The wife's youngest has unexpectedly joined us for the past couple of weeks. He is leaving today. So I had a lot going on this week. We're getting him ready to go back to Cali to his dad and to get back into school and football and all that good stuff. But extended spring break vacation for him. So I had that going on this morning and this week. And obviously work. That's what it's all about right now. Trying to get back to normal there as well. But guess what, Steel?
What's up?
Guess what, man? Look, we rolled credits on Tiny Tina's. Yeah, we rolled credits on Godfall, the first part of it. Mm-hmm. I rolled credits on Cyberpunk after 280 hours, right? So I had this stretch of rolling credits, which never happens, right? For me, the grazer. And I was sitting down. I made a post on Twitter about this, but a lot of people probably didn't see it as Twitter is what it is. But I made a post. I was sitting back and I'm like, God, man, now what I'm going to do? I got a bunch of stuff I could jump into. I got all these games I need to get to. My backlog, I don't even call it my backlog anymore. It's my library. My library is full of all this great stuff I want to jump into. What do I want to do? And I'm like, God, I really want to continue looting. I got to keep going on Tiny Tina's, or I got to jump into Godfall with you because I know you've been playing some more Godfall too.
Oh, yeah.
My God, I want to do all that. But this guy's brain right here, right? The grazer brain, he's sitting back. That's not what happens, Steel. That's not what happens. All of a sudden the brain goes, oh, what'd you say? What'd you say? You want to play some grand strategy? You want to hop back into Crusader Kings 3? Oh, maybe some Stellaris. Oh, yeah. Oh, what about those old 360 RTSs? Oh, yes, that's what you want to do. Man, that's what I've been doing this week. Found out that I still had Supreme Commander 2 as one of those digital downloads from the 360 era, still available thanks to the wonderful Xbox and what they've done over there. So guess what? I downloaded that. And then C Unit, Mr. Chris Jones, shout out to him from Iron Lords. He does some writing for them over there. He's a good, awesome member of this community. He had brought up last week, I think it was on Xbox Ultimate, that he had gone out and gotten all the Command and Conquers. Oh, so that clicked in my head. So guess what? I went online, ordered up some Command and Conquer goodness. That's right. Got Red Alert 3, got Command and Conquer 3, got Command and Conquer Kane's Wrath. Now I'm waiting on the first Command and Conquer, the Tiberian Wars. I'm still waiting on that one to be delivered, but I got Red Alert 3 and Kane's Wrath this week, plus my Supreme Commander 2. So I've been on an RTS fest, man. Let me tell you something. Last generation, we talked about this. I've talked about this because I'm a huge RTS strategy guy. Last generation was lost generation. Companies stopped putting out RTSs on consoles. Okay. Mm-hmm. I know they play better on PC. I'm not here to argue that point. RTSs live on PC. I get that, folks. Okay. I really do. I understand. But again, going back and playing these old 360 games, they were on to something. They had figured out how to map the controls already, because that's always the biggest problem, is translating keyboard and mouse to the controller. And a lot of people claim it can't be done. But as I've stated before, Halo Wars 2 proved that it can be done, and it can be well done, to the point where I don't feel I'm at that great of a disadvantage against PC players. Now, Halo Wars 2 was specifically designed around the console experience, so that makes a difference. But seeing what Paradox does with their grand strategy games like Crusader Kings 3 and Stellaris, amongst others, right? And then going back and playing the 360 versions of Command and Conquer, Supreme Commander, bro, it can be done. Okay. Again, am I saying it's ever going to be the experience it is with keyboard and mouse? No. But what I am here to tell you folks is, going back to those, it was like riding a bike all over again. Within the first 30 minutes, I was comfortable, right? And as you play them more, the better it gets on the controller. And they did an awesome job. And we've seen signs that this generation, we're going to start seeing that RTS strategy come back on the consoles. And I am so excited because, man, I've had such a good time in there. So that's what I've been doing, man. Some old school gaming this week, because I like to do that. I do go back to those old games, and man, it has been freaking amazing. Now we just need to get some new stuff so we can get online and get that competition going, because that's where that stuff really shines. I'm having fun against the AI, but it ain't the same as getting online and checking it out and getting into some big time battles against some other gamers. So I can't wait until we see that fired up again this gen. So it's been a great week. It's been a great month of gaming for me. Actually, I've had more smiles on my face than I have in a long time with gaming. And man, we are in the golden age, Steel. We are, brother. We are. So Steel, what have you been getting down to this week, brother? Because again, this is one of those weeks where we didn't talk. So what's going on, man?
No, 100%. For me personally, I've been in between a couple things. It's been Godfall. I've been still playing that. I've been having an excellent time with that. I actually got a really decent build going right now. I was helping my brother kind of get into it a bit. I was trying to power level him up to 50 so he can start getting some of the good gear and everything. We were getting there. I think I got him to like over level 30 something or whatever the case might be in less than a couple hours. It wasn't bad at all. But he got tired of getting whooped around, because Godfall is one of those games where you just can't jump in and be good at, especially.
What do you mean? It's just a hack and slash, Steel. What are you talking about? It's just a hack and slash.
Unfortunately, it's not that. But the game's a lot more complicated than that. But yeah, that's been a good time. I've been in and out of Forza again. I played some last night. I was having a great time again. I don't know if it's just me. Maybe other people have the same experience. I hate to think that it's just me, but for some, again, I've said it here before, for somebody that doesn't play Forza as often as they used to, or play it as hardcore as they used to, because again, I used to play everything simulation, even damage, for a long time, and that meant me restarting a lot of races, because every little thing that would happen would impact the car in a negative way, and the computer doesn't care. Of course, you play with simulation on, the computer doesn't care about any of that. Their cars are just fine, everything is perfect, and then they get to burn you, even though they can ram you at 100 miles an hour. You walking around with a half limp motor, and they still got all the horses, right? I come from that kind of racing style, and I still do, except of course I don't play with simulation damage anymore, because that just got annoying after a while, especially in Horizon. But it's always amazing to me coming back in and racing online against random people, still having that capability to get within the top 3. I think that's just such an amazing thing, at least for me personally. Speaks a lot to, maybe it's skill, maybe it's just my passion for racing games, or whatever the case may be. Racing different cars and whatnot. But I've been having a good time with that. Again, that matchmaking is in an excellent place right now. It's a lot quicker than what it used to be. And just the fact, again, that I don't have to have those in-between races where I'm racing cross country. It's just race after race. It's such a beautiful experience. Has me so excited about what Motorsport's going to do. Silent says, you should come play for Horizon 5 with us sometime. We're playing for hours last night. Man, Silent, man. wasn't going to be able to hop on last night. I kind of missed those community game nights, man, where I was able to get in Halo, Forza, whatever the game was, to get in there with you guys, even though you seemingly was making a lot of them frustrated because it's like, Steel, stop trying so hard. And it's like, I'm not trying hard, man. I'm just playing the game. I actually had to back down off of some community nights because people were just on my head top about me trying hard. And I was just like, I'm not trying hard. I'm just playing the game, having a good time.
It was like, I'm just a natural, all natty gamer. And that's what Steel is.
And then I get on Halo and I get on Halo and I get humbled real quick.
No, you don't.
No, I do. Here recently, boy, man, if you're not consistent on Halo, it shows. It's very blatant, very obvious.
One of those games.
But yeah, man, that's just been kind of my week here so far. In between a couple different things here, trying to decide which way I want to take things. But that's the main places: Godfall, some Forza, and really that's been kind of it so far, man. Yeah. Other than that, again, like you said, like I said earlier, been dealing with some mouth pains, but I've been working through it. It's all right. Can't eat the way that I want, but it is what it is. But we got a lot of beautiful things we're going to talk to you guys about today. A lot of interesting conversations. Depends on how we want to go, where we're feeling. I know we definitely got to get into the what we've learned from the community, and I think that's going to go into a couple different places again. Console sales, VG charts, Halo, again, can't get away from it. God of War, and then Outriders DLC. Also, there's a few more other things out there to get in between topics and whatever. But I might be missing some
Ubisoft talk.
Some Ubisoft talk. 100%. Definitely gonna talk about that. Again, might be missing some things. Chat. If there's anything that you guys want to talk about, we'll probably throw that in there too. Again, it's a great thing about hosting a free-flowing show, because we don't do a lot of, or don't have the time to do a lot of back end setup and everything else to say, hey, this is our script and this is what we're going to kind of go off of. We can throw those random topics in from the chat, get that involved within the conversation, and that's what's going to make it unique, right? We don't have to talk about everything else everybody else is talking about. We can talk about what y'all want to talk about, or we can just talk about some random shit. But what we will do is get into these upcoming games before we get into anything else, so you guys can know what's coming up, man. Again, gaming as art should be treated as such. Not only do you need to be reminded about their history, but you got to know what's upcoming, man, so you can start getting those pockets ready. And that's why we try to let you know at least about a week out. Yeah, we were doing it about a year out.
We better not do that, man.
That'll be a whole section in itself. That's a whole different podcast.
And it won't be accurate. I'll tell you that much.
It wouldn't. It definitely wouldn't. There's no telling, man. Especially nowadays, there's no telling. But let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into this upcoming games segment. Let's find out what's coming out. You ready for that, Pong?
Yeah, of course I'm ready, brother. I'm always ready.
Excellent.
Not really, folks. But anyways, yes, coming up this week, which is starting April the 25th. Look, last week we had a short list. This week it's longer, but there's not a whole lot like wow factor in this week at all. But guess what? It's still gaming. It's still lots of good stuff. And you never know what you're going to find out that you actually enjoy when we talk about this 100%. Stuff. So guess what? We're going to get down to business here. So starting April the 26th, again, shout out to GameInformer.com /22 or / I should say 2022. This is where we get our information. It ain't perfect, but it's good enough, right? So let's go. Let's get down to business here. So Zombie Army 4 Dead War is coming to Switch. Look, I like zombie armies.
Yeah.
They're fast food. They're just fun. They are crispy. Look, Rebellion Games is on my list. This is who develops it and publishes it. Rebellion Games is a company that I have on my wish list that Xbox goes after. Smaller company, but they do good work. Of course, they do these Sniper Elite games. Of course, Sniper Elite 5 coming to Game Pass day and date in May. But they also do the Zombie Army games. And I've always been a fan of these. In fact, fun fact, Zombie Army trilogy, which was in 3D, was one of the only 3D games that I actually played on my old Sony 1080p TV that did 3D. I actually got to pull out the goggles.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Got to pull out the glasses. Bro, let me tell you, when I bought that TV, cool, though, of course, 3D was coming, right? They were like, 3D movies. It's going to be all the. It never turned out to be that way, but that game was actually in 3D, and it was actually a really good time. Nice. But yeah, Zombie Army 4. It's Zombie Army 4 has been out, obviously, on Xbox and PlayStation for a while now. It's actually in Game Pass. They actually gave away the first season as part of the Game Pass Ultimate subscribers perks. So they've, again, buddied up with Xbox a lot, and it's really a good time. These are really well done games. So anybody who's got a Switch and wants to do a little zombie hunting on the go, check out Zombie Army 4 coming out the 26th of April next week on the Switch. And then coming up next, we've got the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. This is coming out on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series consoles, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, all on April 27th. This is done by Crows, and also published by Crows.
Okay.
I have no idea what this is, folks. No idea. The thumbnail that they have next to the game doesn't tell me anything. It's got a controller. It's got a stapler. It's got let's see. It's got some tape.
It's a single player game.
Adventure. It's an adventure game is what they've got it listed as. So, hey, I have no idea, but check it out. Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, April 27th. Then we've got one that is kind of killing me a little bit right here, but that's okay. Vampire: The Masquerade Blood Hunt. Mm-hmm. I know people kind of downplay this stuff. This is AA stuff. Vampire: The Masquerade is a huge series that's been done in a lot of different content forms. Mm-hmm. We've got narrative-driven games, and now they're coming out with this Battle Royale Blood Hunt. And I'm not a Battle Royale fan, but I watched the videos on this last year when they showed it off, and it looks interesting, okay? And it actually got my attention. Again, vampire, big vampire lover here. Mm-hmm. You bring vampires into any world and you give them certain vampire powers. Mm-hmm. I'm interested. Okay. And so this game caught my attention and I thought it was coming to Xbox. It's not. It's starting out on PlayStation 5 and PC, April 27th. Hopefully they eventually can bring it over to Xbox because I really would like to try this game out. So if you're looking for a different type of battle royale, because again, having those vampire powers is going to bring that different feel than your just straight up shooter. Of course, it's still got guns and it's got all that stuff as well, but go check this out. I think that some people might be more interested in it than they first thought when they heard about it. Again, it's not AAA. It's not going to blow your socks off as far as, you know, all the graphics and all the showcase, but it looks like it's got something. So Vampire: The Masquerade Blood Hunt, PlayStation 5, PC, April 27th. That is showing up. And the one that everybody, I was wrong about this week. The one that everybody's been waiting for over on the Xbox side of things and the Switch side of things, this game, you couldn't get more hype last year. This is a huge console exclusive for PlayStation. It drove a lot of their sales, obviously, last year and kind of put them in the position that they're in now. So everybody get ready. April 28th, we finally get our hands on Bugsnax. And yes, it is coming to Game Pass this week as well. Bugsnax is here. As Dealer likes to call out, Wiener Hands from one of their trailers, because you can have hot dogs for hands, okay? So Wiener Hands are going to become available to the Xbox people and the Switch people this week, April 28th. Our dreams are coming true.
Are you going to get the Ultimate Edition?
Bro, you know it. You know it.
Pre-ordered. I know it.
Pre-downloaded, brother.
Nice.
Pre-downloaded.
There you go.
All jokes aside, of course, it's in Game Pass. Of course, being the grazer I am I going to download this and try it out?
See.
Absolutely. Of course I am. Of course I am. That's how I am. Shit. Who knows? I might love it, right? I might absolutely love it. That's what I always say. Hey. No risk, no foul.
As a grazer,
try it out.
As a grazer, Bugsnax gives you some things to graze on, actually. You got Wiener Hands, got vegetables, strawberry people.
Yeah, I've heard it gets a little weird because you wind up eating the other bugs and stuff. Like,
yeah, well, fuck it. Why not? Cannibalism? Yeah, let's promote it. Why not?
Again, more Florida stuff. Florida stuff going on. I mean, Bug Snacks is basically Florida pods in a video game.
Oh, is that what it is? Bug Snacks, it should just say Florida on top of it, and that's basically that gives you the
should be the deluxe edition. The ultimate edition should be the Florida edition.
The Florida
Bug Snacks.
Oh God! All this smoke we're getting here in Florida, God.
Bug Snacks is coming this week, so everybody look out for that. Then we've got. I'm going to try this. Dorfromantic coming out to PC. Dorfromantic coming to PC, a puzzle game from Tucana Interactive. Tucana Interactive. Hey, look, I'm always down for puzzles. Unfortunately, it's just coming to PC. But hey, Dorfromantic. I think I did get that right. Dorfromantic is what it is. I mean, that's how they actually have it in the title when you look at the screen. Dorfromantic. So go check that out if you're looking for a puzzler on PC, April the 28th. Rogue Legacy 2 is showing up. This one's a little under the radar. The first Rogue Legacy is actually a really good roguelike. And again, if you're into roguelites, go check out Rogue Legacy and then go check out Rogue Legacy 2 coming out this week. That's coming out on Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and PC, April 28th. Actually, again, like I said, under the radar, there was a lot of games that came out when Rogue Legacy came out. It did get a little bit of steam for a bit, and that's when I tried it out. And actually, not a bad, kind of in that old school bit style. So not for everybody,
right,
but you might really like Rogue Legacy. So go check that out, April 28th. Then we have another Rogue game. It's the week of Rogues. Rogue Lords coming to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Switch. No mention of current gen consoles. This is published by Nacon and developed by Cyanide Studios.
Sounds familiar.
It's been out on PC since September of last year. So again, there's probably going to be some good vids out there. I'm trying to see. It's a roguelike RPG adventure where you play as the devil. Okay. All right, cool. Hey.
That's right up your alley, man.
I might take a look at this, man. Anytime you give me a chance to play with the bad guys, I'm going to play with the baddies.
I know.
Yeah, for sure. So that's Rogue Lords. And then we have Sherlock Holmes, Chapter 1, PlayStation 4. Look, Sherlock Holmes games, if you're into narrative-driven adventures, these ones from Frogwares, I've talked about them here before. They've got some really good, decent reviews on those types of games. Again, you're not going to get the most blow-your-mind type experience out of these, but if you're into those narrative-heavy games, they actually say the writing in these are actually really well done. So this one has already been out on PlayStation 5. See, I don't know. I don't get this, but it's been out. It's the same one that's been out on PlayStation 5, Series consoles, and PC since November of last year. But now it's all of a sudden coming to PlayStation 4. So I don't know how heavy this game was with the current gen features, but for some reason it skipped PlayStation 4 until now, and it's not coming to Xbox One. So kind of weird situation. But anyways, Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1 for all of you those still rocking the PlayStation 4 out there that have been looking forward to that. Then we have Unsold coming to Xbox Series, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on April the 28th. This is an action game from Magusta Game and published by NeoWiz. Yeah, I like that name actually a little bit. So Unsold is coming out this week. Looks like a stylized, cool kind of little adventure game, or action game, I should say. So, hey, it's got a mature rating, so it's going to have some, I'm imagining some violence in it. I'm always down for violence. Right?
I know you are. Hey, there's a lot of things you're down for. I know. Don't worry about it.
I choose violence. All right.
Oh, okay.
And then, for all you Switch fans out there, and I know this is actually big for a lot of Nintendo fans, right? It really is. This game became gigantic on the Wii. A lot of people have been asking for it to come back on the Switch. And guess what? Nintendo is obliging you this week. So Nintendo Switch Sports is coming finally. Again, no jokes, all jokes aside. whatever you want to say. This was a big deal on Wii, and there was a lot of fans out there who wanted this on Switch. So guess what? Nintendo's probably going to have another hit. We're probably going to be talking about this in the top of the sales charts for about the next year, just because that's how it rolls over on Nintendo's side of things. So Nintendo Switch Sports showing up April the 29th. Go enjoy that if that is your thing for sure. Well, there you go, Steel. Again, Bug Snacks, the dream come true. That's basically the headliner this week. That's this week's in gaming.
Yeah, man. I mean, I know how excited you are for Bug Snacks. You told me in the background that you had the top version pre-ordered. Again, like he's not joking, ladies and gentlemen. He has it pre-downloaded. He actually, the real reason he removed Battlefield 2042 from his Xbox was so he can get ready for Bug Snacks.
I got to pre-download that. Yeah, you're right.
That's what the real reason. In case you guys really wanted to know, he had to respect the snacks.
Nam, listen. He asked, Pong's a baddie. Depends on which version of baddie you are using here, okay?
Oh, no, you know what version. You know what version. You're that kind of baddie. We'll leave it up to Kate. You that type of baddie. Cardi B meme waiting, incoming.
Oh, good God. And then Jacob Novak, to go back to your original question, because we're not going to make this a huge topic, but I did want to answer this like Steel and I always do, bring the chat in.
Right.
He asked me if I had heard about the Activision Blizzard investment, the investor, what do I want to say? Oh my God, I've just lost my train of thought. The lawsuit, the Activision lawsuit that were brought by some of the investors, and it was dismissed. It was thrown out. Okay. Yeah, I did hear all about that. Look, as Steel and I have talked about here and talked about on other shows as well with this whole Activision Blizzard deal, this is all part of what happens when you have such a gigantic merger or acquisition happening. People are going to try to get their money. Okay. They see those they see $70 billion. They see the players that are involved when you've got Microsoft and then you've got Activision Blizzard. And guess what? People are going to try to get their share. And there's going to be frivolous lawsuits brought about by different individuals that are a part of that to try to get their piece. And guess what? That's for the courts. That's for the attorneys to go ahead and say, yeah, nah, you really don't have nothing going on here. So expect to hear more of those little things as we move forward in this process. There's always going to be those things popping up. Realize that none of it means anything. When something big happens, if there was something that could actually threaten the deal, you obviously are going to hear about it. It's going to be gigantic news, but the media just likes to run with these little things because when they put up in the headlines, lawsuit, Activision, Blizzard, Microsoft, when they put those key words in there, guess what? They get them clicks, baby. Yep. And that's what it's all about. So yeah, it was no big deal. I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere from the get-go, but it's good to see that they got it thrown out. Now, again, the process can move on without these distractions, but prepare yourselves. There's probably going to be more distractions along the way as this goes forward. And I think Jacob Nova came in here too. The Blood Hunt Studio later said they are not putting it on more than one console because they don't want to focus on one console.
I don't want to hear that.
Reason.
Yeah, it's on PC. Yeah, I don't want to hear that.
It's about the Blood Hunts again.
Time. It's about
that's excuses.
Correct.
Time. That's about excuses. And I believe that Sony may have helped them out with the development on the PlayStation side of things too, with some resources as well. But I imagine I still see it coming to Xbox because guess what, baby? It's a multiplayer game. It's a battle royale. That Game Pass helps those out immensely. So I imagine it will eventually show up back on Xbox. But again, anytime, like Steel said, when you hear developers talk about that nowadays, it's excuses, man, more than anything else, because the consoles themselves are so similar, and they're now so similar to PC that it's just about that time factor, whether or not the dev wants to put that time in. But I can guarantee you, I won't guarantee anything because I have no idea, but I imagine it will show up on Xbox eventually for sure.
And it might not. I'm of the mind that it probably won't. It's going to be one of those things that PlayStation cut a deal for to keep it exclusively in their ecosystem because it is that type of game. The game is getting traction. And there's a lot of good things that are said about the game that a lot of people have said. At least the research that I've done about Vampire. Again, we're talking about Vampire Masquerade. I've seen a lot of people say a lot of good things about the game. A lot of people have a lot of problems with the game as far as like stability and not in the longevity of it, because of the way that it plays. On PC, people are having a tough time because of the cheaters and everything. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it takes off on PlayStation, because yes, it's going to be less prevalent. It's not going to be as many or as obvious. Not saying that people on console can't cheat, because they can, but it's definitely less likely, right? So I would love to see what kind of legs it's going to end up having. I could definitely see the game being one of those things to possibly get you enticed to get into PlayStation's new subscription, right? Since they're rolling everything together, this could be one of those games that could pull you in. Again, it looks good, has the customization aspect to it. The gunplay and the mechanics look real tight and look really good. Again, I've seen plenty of people have a really good time with and have clamored for it, I guess I should say, from what I've seen in the reviews on Reddit, on Steam, people playing the beta, whatever the case may be, saying it's a good time, but it needs some work. So yeah, man, I mean, there's a lot of potential, but yeah, like Pong said, it's on PC, so using the excuse, it's not gonna go here because it's just time. It's time and money at the end of the day. And if they don't have the time and money to do it, then they're not going to, and they're only going to support it on certain ecosystems, and that's okay. Because again, people have to give you reasons to invest in. That could be one. So that's just my personal take on it. It can go multiple different ways, but. As far as that goes, Pong, though, man, you said you had a rant last night on Xbox Ultimate. I unfortunately didn't really get a chance to listen to it. You said you had some things that you laughed about. I did hear some things last night that were interesting too, and I'm gonna bring up some things that I thought was interesting, and then I'm gonna just kind of roll into what you found interesting, or what you learned from the community. So I'm not gonna be long-winded or anything. I'm just gonna try to use it as a setup. So what I've kind of learned from the community this week is one, again, the one source that probably can give you the most let's say up-to-date information, the closest accurate information, I've come to find out should not be used. It should not be discussed. It should not be talked about. That if there is a console, that you should only talk about it when there's one side that's doing really well. It can be used in conversation at that point. But then when anybody else uses it for competition, or to make a point that a console or a brand is actually doing better than most people anticipate, or what most people may have expected, you don't need to use those numbers. The other thing that I've learned too, and if we brought this up here, is that again, you can't mix up the Xbox Series S numbers with the Xbox Series X numbers. It's just unfair. It's not fair that Xbox has enough money to throw around to get more chips, or whatever the case might be, even though your competitor started hardware manufacturing before you did. It's not fair that you can just, because you're the $2 trillion company, you have more say within the industry. It's not fair that there's a multi-SKU approach to this whole console situation that we got going on. Oh, the Xbox Series S, again, we're having this conversation where people are fearful that the Series S is going to hold back, because we're seeing now games are coming out and they're struggling on the Series S. They're hardly able to play. We can barely get 60 FPS out of these games on the Series S, and we're seeing that on multi-platform games. It's going to be embarrassing. How is Xbox going to keep up in the future if they have a Series S who has part of the power of the Series X? Oh, it has the same CPU though. We got to make sure we mention that. It has the same CPU, but it has downgraded power for the graphics, and it can only do 1080p and in 1440. And because it can't do 4K and it doesn't have the better graphics quality, it's holding back the generation. Even though, ladies and gentlemen, even though the Kraken has not been used yet, guaranteed. Even though velocity architecture, again, these are marketing terms, but there's still things and storage strategies and implementations and tools. I know people like to make fun of tools, right? Man, you didn't get that brand new hammer yet? It has the magical attachment where you turn it around and it just pulls the nails out for you. You didn't get that yet? You didn't get that new griddle where it just, you just put the burgers on, close it, and just walk away, and it'll automatically take the burgers off the griddle for you. You didn't get that? Man, there's so many things to be worried about, Pong, that I just don't know if I think, or I should say not me, because I do feel differently. I don't know if the community wants me to believe that competition is good, or that Microsoft or Nintendo or anybody else, let's just stick with Microsoft, is going to offer any true competition to Sony, because in the long run, the Series S it's holding us back, Pong. And I'm so unsure about the direction of gaming because of this. Can you help me out here, Pong? Is there anything that you could do to help save me? Did you learn anything else from the community that could possibly help set me straight or set me ablaze and help me see the light at the end of the tunnel? Anything?
Brother, this community has a sickness. And it's in small pockets, right? The circus, the clowns, both sides of the fence. And when news is slow, which it has been, right? Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of little good things, but unfortunately, if there's nothing major going on in news, this community, portions of this community, again, I don't generalize, and it's one of those things, but portions of this community have this need inside of them to create news, to create drama, to show them their true colors when it comes to talking about this industry that they are supposedly just as passionate as we are about, or enjoy as much as we do. They just seem to enjoy it in a different way. That's extremely negative. And we talk about this constantly, Steel. Let's focus. There's been like basically one thing each day this week so far that has seemed to pop up, because again, we're in this lull of this news cycle while we start ramping up towards E3 time, which again, I know there's no E3, but still that time of the year when things really start popping off, right during early, springtime and early summer. So, but let's focus on this VG Chartz thing here, Steel. This is the most ridiculous one out of this week, because of how much traction it got. It actually brought in some members of the media, which again, we talk about the journalistic integrity a lot on this show, and about what journalists should be doing versus what they wind up doing. And I don't blame some of them, because some of them are very active in this community. It's hard to keep yourself out of it. Right. Especially when people start, attacking you personally or whatever the case may be. You make a statement online about it, which again, it's public. Okay, right. You're open to it, right? That's what it is. We all know how this works now. Social media thing, this Twitter thing isn't brand new. Okay, this is something that's been around. We all get how this works. But at the same time, with this VG Chartz thing, look, I've been watching VG Chartz probably since it started. Right. Okay. Because that's how long I've been following this industry and actually looking at things. Right. And we've known forever that VG Chartz. Look, this goes back to 360 PS3 days. I remember being used as fodder for the console wars back then. Right. On the again, we didn't have Twitter like we do now. We didn't have these kind of places, but obviously we had all the boards. There was spaces to talk about games. Right. And I remember VG Chartz being brought up back then, and they were always known as a group that estimated their numbers. That it was easier back then because the companies were all posting numbers back then and being open and real about what numbers were coming about. But VG Chartz even back then seemed to have different numbers than even what we were getting from the companies directly. And now Microsoft, as we know for years, no longer gives out exact numbers. So VG Chartz has their logarithms. But at the same time, right, we understand that fact. But at the same time, it's not like they're just randomly assigning numbers. Okay, they're in the ballpark. Now, we can all discuss about how close in the ballpark we're talking about. If we're talking about upper deck, if we're talking about on the playing
That's
field,
semantics at that point, though, right?
Right. We could talk about that, but they do give an overall sense of what's happening, right? And so this time around, because Xbox is competing this gen, right? Because Xbox has actually turned the sinking ship around to the point that they are now in the conversation when it comes to numbers and sales. All of a sudden now, because that's the case, and because, the horror, Steel, the horror that the GM of Xbox marketing himself, Aaron Greenberg, would actually be doing marketing guy stuff and coming out to this community and sharing those VG Chartz numbers.
How dare he retweet it?
How dare he retweet it and thank the community for all the support and giving Xbox this lift that they've seen in this current generation as they try to turn this ship back into sailing the right direction, which they have done. But how dare he do that when 12 years ago, the man posted on Twitter, laughing out loud, disparaging the VG Chartz numbers, right? 12 years ago. Now, a couple things here, folks. A couple things. It's very interesting. Again, this is where we get into, are you willfully ignorant? Right? Are you willfully ignorant? Or are you intellectually dishonest when it comes to this stuff? Because in 12 years, if you don't think VG Chartz as a business, as this is kind of like their main thing that they do,
right?
If you don't think they haven't gotten better as a business in estimating these numbers, maybe gotten some better contacts within the retail markets themselves, where they pull a lot of this information from. If you don't think they haven't gotten better in 12 years, I'm here to tell you, chances are you're wrong. Okay, number one. So maybe after 12 years, Mr. Greenberg is looking at those VG Chartz numbers and going, you know what? Actually, these are pretty damn close, right, to our internal numbers.
Maybe.
You know, they're getting closer to the playing field, right? So I'm comfortable in retweeting these numbers as I thank the community, showing, yeah, we are having some success this generation. It's looking really good for us right now. I'm happy with these, right? That could be one of the things, right? The other thing that could be happening is that Aaron Greenberg, again, has been in this game for a very long time. In fact, from almost the straight up beginning of Xbox. And as the GM of Xbox marketing, he's doing marketing speak, which he's hired to do, so that when something, no matter where it comes from, right, looks good, makes your company look good, you're going to use that. Sony does it. Nintendo does it. All these companies play with the numbers and make themselves look better, right? That's a part of advertising. That's a part of marketing your brand. You are going to use sources that make you look good to pump up and hype up your customer base or to plug your company wherever it may be. So he's doing his job. And all of a sudden, it's got to turn into this firestorm. People going back 12 years into his history. The clowns, the circus showing up, going, oh, no, wait a minute. Hypocrisy. When the mirror would show them that they've been hypocrites all along. That everything that they've said since last generation has come back to bite them. And they are so upset about that.
Right.
That they can't handle it, Steel, that they are in that corner. And now the tables are turning. And one generation of dominance by their favorite piece of plastic. And I'll remind everybody, I was on PlayStation's train the beginning of last generation. Okay. Not that I was fanboying, but I supported Sony because they gave me the value for my wallet and they gave me what I wanted at the beginning of last generation. And I wasn't hearing what Xbox was putting down last generation. Mm-hmm. For nearly over half that generation, I was on that Sony train. I was loving it. It's great. But all the fanboys, I wasn't a part of this community, but I've heard the stories from the OGs in this community about what it was like to try to be an Xbox fan last generation and about the ridicule they had to put up with. So that whole entire generation, this circus got to run things. And this circus also had the media at their back. And now, all of a sudden, things have turned around. You all, a lot of you, I'm not going to say you all, but a lot of you fanboys, a lot of you clowns from the Sony side of things were claiming that you were just trying to help Microsoft compete, that you just wanted Xbox to be better because competition is good for us over on the Sony side. We don't want Sony to dominate. No. We don't want that. We want Xbox to be jumping in, because it's going to help make Sony a better company. And now, all you frauds got exactly what you wanted. Godzilla woke up. $2.5 trillion Godzilla woke up, and now you're, this isn't what we really didn't want this. As I said last night on Xbox Ultimate, try to be an adult for a minute. Try to be an adult for 1 minute and admit either A, that you wanted Sony to actually kill off Xbox, bury them the way that they buried Sega. That's I know Sega had a lot to do with their own, but admit that you really wanted Xbox out of the game. You didn't want them in the game. Mm-hmm. You wanted it to be Sony and you wanted it to be the Nintendo so that your little fan base could grow bigger with a bunch of more fanboys who had to turn to Sony because Xbox was gone. That's what you really wanted to validate your existence, to validate your purchase of your PlayStation. Admit that. Or if you really did want competition, come out and say that and say, guess what? You know what? I've been saying a lot of nonsense here online, but at the end of the day, I'm happy that Xbox is doing what they're doing because it is making Sony a better place to play at. Even if I am biased towards Sony, guess what? Sony's doing things now because Xbox is back competing in that space. And they are competing with some of the best right now. And they're going toe to toe. And that means that Sony's got to step up their game. Take one of those two roads. I know a lot of you won't, because again, you may be an adult on paper, but you act like a child online and throw fits and can't look at things from that satellite view. You look at them from close up as you're staring at your PlayStation, smelling it, licking it, and loving it.
Ooh.
Guys are becoming a cult. Like I thought that was silly when people started talking about that stuff. And again, I'm pointing out the fan base on the Sony side because that's what's been happening this week. Again, this runs both ways, okay? The Xbox fanboys are starting to join that crew. And again, some of it I understand if you were in this community and you put up with the ridicule and you had those years and years of the nonsense, right? There's some turnabout is fair play, okay? And I agree with a lot of you that do that, okay? And especially the ones that aren't necessarily attacking PlayStation, but are attacking the Sony fanboys. Look, some of that is going to happen. That's human nature. You can only put up with so much.
Right.
Again, I don't agree with all of it because it's video games at the end of the day. Okay. And again, for me, it's like video games ended tomorrow. My life wouldn't end. I got plenty of other hobbies I could turn to. Okay. But again, if you're wrapped up in it, I get some of it. But the Sony side of things is turning into a cult, a religious-like fervor right now. And if you don't believe me, and again, this is only a small portion. I'm not talking about this general Sony fans, okay? Trust me. This has got nothing to do with it. You've got regular sports fans who go to games and don't get into fights and throw beers and all that sort of nonsense, okay? You got regular fans who just show up and have a good time, joke around, talk with some of the fans from the other team and go back and forth and have some laughs, whatever else. That's cool, right? That's totally cool. But then there's that certain section of fans that get into brawls at games and think that this is life or death, that their team has to win. Well, guess what? There is a certain section of Sony fans that are turning that way as well. If you don't believe me, again, go watch that David Jaffe interview. Okay? Go watch that David Jaffe interview and see if you think that's normal fandom. That's not normal fandom.
I mean,
okay?
Yeah.
It's sick.
Yeah.
And they need to get some help, Steel. But again, it's all because the tables are turning. Now they no longer have the media on their side, brother. Mm-hmm. Now the media understands that Xbox is competing. They now understand that they also get the clicks by posting positive Xbox news, where last generation, it was easy to dump on Xbox and get those clicks. Now they have to start talking about what the good things are that Xbox is doing. So now all of a sudden, those fanboys don't have that backing either. Now you see them going, oh, the media is biased for Xbox. Oh, now it's cool to hate on Sony. Bro, get some help, people. Again, we're talking about video games. What Aaron Greenberg did was a part of his job. And if you read his tweet, he was actually thanking the community. He was actually thanking the community. So why don't you guys, who are so upset with Aaron Greenberg being within this community, talking to the fans, why don't you go talk to the Sony upper management team? Why don't you go hit up go hit up Cerny, go hit up Herman Hulst? Mm-hmm. Right? They're both on Twitter. They're not active. Herman is a little bit more. Why don't you go hit them up and ask them to start being active in your community?
Right.
So you guys have something to talk about on that side, and you can speak directly to them about what's going on over at PlayStation. But be thankful at the end of the day that Xbox is competing, because that's why Sony is now diversifying their portfolio. Even for all you that claim that you only like those third-person, over-the-shoulder, narrative-driven action-adventure RPGs now, because everything's an RPG now, which is fine. That's the only type of game you like, and that's what you look forward to over there. Great, fantastic, that's awesome. They mastered that. But the only reason why they're diversifying their portfolio is because of what Xbox is doing. The only reason why they're going out and purchasing all this talent and purchasing dev teams is because of what Xbox is currently doing. The only reason why you're going to eventually wind up with a subscription service, it's in its beta form. When it gets out of its beta form, and they start rolling out those third-party deals nonstop, and they start rolling out first-party titles into that service that you'll be able to rent because you know you're going to do it anyways, and you're going to be happy about it because that means you can go buy more games. Guess what? When all that happens, just be thankful that Xbox is competing, because the only reason why you're getting all that is because of that fact. Xbox is here to stay. So stop coming after the fans. Stop going after Xbox upper management because they're in the community and you guys are jealous of that stuff. Stop going after Xbox and talking about Xbox non-stop. Start talking about what PlayStation is doing. Start putting out that positive energy and celebrate this industry as a whole, which is going to have the best generation it has ever had in history. Nintendo's going to be successful. PlayStation is going to be successful. And Xbox is going to be successful. And we are going to have more games, more devs, more of everything that we all love this generation than ever before because of how healthy this industry is. Go out there and spread that good news. Get some help. Find the bright side of everything instead of always looking for the negative. And if that's what your channel's driven on, God bless you. But guess what? That energy is going to come back. And we've seen the infighting this week as well, Steel. That's because that energy you bring comes back to you. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe in anything. But believe that. That energy that you put out is going to come back to you. And we've seen that happen time and time again this week. And I got to sit back and chuckle. Meanwhile, I also shake my head in sadness because it's stupid and because it looks ridiculous and it makes other parts of this community, whether you believe it or not, look ridiculous. The good parts of this community also get affected by your nonsense.
Yeah. No,
sorry, Steel. I went on an extended rant. I know you wanted to jump in there.
You're good. You're good. I mean,
again,
you're definitely not saying anything wrong, but I wanted to pull up the tweet also that was kind of in question that people have been kind of hammering on about again. As you guys can kind of see here, it got some traction, right? 3,500 likes and whatnot. This was retweeted by Greenberg himself. The actual VG Chartz post has somewhere around the same. So Aaron Greenberg definitely got a little bit more traction on the post than VG did, but they just posted numbers. You know, VG Chartz said, hey, Xbox Series X and S are 13.87 mil, where the 360 was at 9.38 mil. Same time after 17 months of release. And I don't see nothing wrong with those numbers, right? I mean, people are just comparing, but people wanted to bring up something else, which is one of the points that people were running with, which is why Pong is saying things as passionate as he is, because, you know, this dude right here, Master Chief, again, we see it on both sides of the spectrum, but he says, hey, oh, Greenberg, this you. And 12 years ago, 2010, hey, I graduated high school then, but Aaron Greenberg posts, LOLing at the sales reports from VG Chartz. Why do people release info as official when there's no source of science behind the numbers? Mind you, this is from 12 years ago. I know we live in a generation now where you can't seemingly recover from old statements that you've made in the past, right? Where you have to be upheld to those. And I can definitely understand that. Though I'm also not going to be ignorant of the fact that over time, people can either gain credibility or lose credibility. I've seen that with IGN and Game Informer over the years. GameSpot was like one of my #1 places to go to get gaming news at one point. And now it's not anywhere close to that. I'm not looking at GameSpot. I believe GameSpot was one of those too, if I'm not mistaken, back in the day, that we would get news and stuff from. But you know what I'm saying? Do you get people that lose some credibility, others that gain? VGC has, over the years, gained the credibility. The article writing, the content that they put out, the attention to detail, again, for people that don't know the exact numbers. Again, Xbox doesn't post them. PlayStation does, but who knows how accurate those numbers are. But for people who have seemingly, it's 2022. It's hard for me not to imagine that certain people do have connections, especially when this is one part of their site that they take seriously. At least I can tell that they have some semblance of, they want to make sure that the numbers are as accurate as possible, or to them, from what they hear and everything, as accurate as possible. There's work that goes into these things, man. They're not just putting random numbers up on a website like Wikipedia does, or random information on a site like Wikipedia does, and saying, yo, these are facts. No, this is just the numbers that they have from the connections and the numbers that they're crunching and getting. And when they're comparing numbers to each other, I don't see the harm in that. And just to go on and say, hey, thanks to the people who have supported the growth and adoption of Xbox so far this generation, lots of work ahead, and hopefully supply continues to improve globally as well. Why not jump on the bandwagon of your company doing really well? Sure, you could say, oh, well, he laughed at it 12 years ago. Why 12 years later? So 2 console generations later, he can't come back and say, damn, Xbox is doing great now. People can't say, hey, well, Microsoft's doing great now. Oh, I want to come out and say thank you. No, he didn't thank y'all last year because there was too much stipulation behind everything. Things weren't going the greatest, right? So I just feel like, again, this is something that was blown out of proportion. VG Chartz, whether you use it or not, if you're a numbers person and you like to just look at strictly the numbers, great. I'm pretty sure I can speak to both me and Pong. Yes, we are interested in the numbers, but we're not going to live by them. I could give a damn less. Just because PlayStation 4 was so popular, that wasn't a reason why I got one. Like, everybody's reason isn't your reason. And I could pay attention to the numbers and not like be so involved in them because they don't support my lifestyle, or I'm not making any money off of this shit. So it's like, I can care less whether the numbers are 100% accurate or whether they're close enough. It's blatant. What it tells me is that Xbox is doing well this gen so far, especially when you're comparing sales, 4.49 million to 13.87, or my fault, excuse me, 9.38 million compared to 13.87. Damn, I mean, you're fucking got almost damn near 50% growth right there. Easily. That's almost double. That's almost double. And I feel like that more so tells me that the industry is healthy. The industry is growing. Xbox is moving in the right direction. People are seeing the moves. People are motivated to jump more so into gaming and everything. That's what that tells me. Because the other thing that bothers me about this entire conversation about VGC and sales numbers and everything else is that people keep telling people that people are settling for $300 boxes. I can tell you right now, as somebody who grew up with tech, I cannot tell you one time when my parents went into a store and just settled for a TV, just settled for a VCR, just settled for a DVD player, just settled for whatever device that they were looking for. I've never looked at, let's just say, I'm trying to think of something I've just settled for before. Let's see. I don't go get my oil changed. They don't have synthetic oil, and I just say, oh, I'm just gonna settle for regular oil. No, the fuck? Like, it doesn't make sense. You're not just gonna settle to spend $300. I don't care how people try to make, oh, $300 is not that much. I'm sorry that other people feel entitled, that money isn't a big thing to you, or whatever the case may be, but there's millions, at least probably 1 billion people who are concerned about where their money goes, who are concerned about that $300. Shit, $100 can mean something to somebody these days. Let's be completely frank, right? So to run with the narrative that people can't find PlayStation 5s, can't find Series X's, so they're settling for Series S's, and that's why Xbox is doing well. That is a fucking terrible argument. To me, personally. And even if that was the case, if you weren't interested in Xbox, you're not just going to buy an Xbox just because. It's the same thing with Nintendo. It's the same thing with any brand, honestly. You're not just going to buy it just because. I'm sorry, and I know people like to speak to the hardcore and like to speak to like-minded people, but I like to look at it from more of the, like me and Pong say here all the time, the RTS view, pulling ourselves out of the world. If I wanted to tell you a one-sided conversation about just my opinion, we would have a very short conversation. I care about more of the bigger picture, the consumers. How do people look at this? How did I look at this when I was growing up? How did my parents possibly look at this when they were growing up, when we didn't have money like that? I'm not looking at this from a standpoint of everybody making plenty of money and getting a console is just it's easy, it's cheap. You can't say it's cheap and then say it's expensive. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you're quick to say, oh, that $300 box, and then say gaming's expensive, so get over it. That conversation doesn't go hand in hand with each other. Like, you're completely contradicting yourself. Xbox is doing well. They did the smart approach. They got two different SKUs. Guess what? If the Series S is on shelves right now, it's because Xbox allocated the chips to get that done. When it takes 2 Series S's to make 1 Series X, it makes sense to why there's more Series S's on the shelf, why they're more readily available, quote unquote. And anybody that's telling you the Series S isn't worth it doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. If anybody's going to tell you that, oh, it's going to hold gaming back, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's not the 1S. It's not the one generation overall. You're getting 60 FPS out of most games now, or the capability at least. Whether we're actually getting that because people like to hear the marketing term 4K, that's what people care about more so than anything else. We'll see. But the biggest point with this is that we have yet to see the potential out of any of the machines. So to say that anything on any hardware side is holding something back, especially when it's this specifically designed the same, but it's specifically designed to play things at 1080p, but has that new architecture, we have no proof or evidence unless you want to use games that are coming out right now that were already in development 4 to 5 years ago, when they could not necessarily estimate how much of a headroom that they were going to have for this specific game, especially if games are coming to PC. Because again, I don't know who needs to tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, PC is still the lowest denominator. It is. Most common card is a GTX 1060. That card is over 5 to 6 years old. People have to design games for that. And until that moves up, like we have seen with some games, until that continues to move up, we're not going to see a difference that much on consoles. Because it has to all be designed in a certain way, with certain things in mind, be developed a certain way, and then upscale the downscale from there. We will see the difference, but things just kind of have to progressively move forward. Again, it's just, I hate when people try to separate the numbers and say it's unfair for Series X and S to be combined together. I hate when people seem like you can't look at the numbers and constructively critique the numbers either. Using it for console war bullshit or shenanigans, I don't necessarily get that either. Again, as a gamer, I've never looked at other consoles. I know people say, oh, well, you know, console warring and everything. That's always been a thing. That's always been around. I feel you, but maybe to the people that had time for that. Sure, you can say Sega, Nintendo, there was really beef there, or PlayStation, there was really beef there back in the day. Yeah, there was those things. There was marketing things that were used, and they were playing on emotion and everything else. I feel you. That was there. But I can tell you, as somebody who considers themselves as an OG gamer, whatever the case might be, I've never looked at PlayStation and said, damn, they're selling more consoles, so I need to go get a PlayStation. Oh, they're more popular. The GameCube, I never looked at the GameCube and said, damn, people really don't like the GameCube like that, and then stop playing my GameCube. I never did that. I just played what I had because I was grateful for it and because I was loving the games that I was playing. I never looked at Xbox and was like, why did my dad get an Xbox? For what? We had a PlayStation 2. It was doing just fine. He didn't have to get an Xbox. He did because he saw something in it. He did because he saw Halo. He did because of Gears. He did because there were so many other examples of why that investment was made, and what has garnered me to be able to say, hey, well, damn, I love Xbox, because they were able to give me something different as a gamer that I had not experienced previously. And for me, Xbox will always have a place for me because of the multiplayer side of things, because of the service-based side of things. That was something that PlayStation was not able to offer me for a long time. And still, I don't believe they can offer me in a good manner, to me personally. Not to take anything away from them, but they do have to do more for me to garner my attention, to garner my money. And I feel like that's what should matter more than sales. Ooh, who's selling? If I judge my life based off of that, I would be living a very sad life right now, especially in my gaming world. There's so much access to different types of content. And again, like we've preached here before, age of accessibility, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it's about. And I need people to get on board of that train before we go anywhere else. Understand the age of accessibility. I feel like that's the biggest conversation we had out of any of this. Shout out to the competition. Shout out to the amazing things happening throughout the industry. Again, gaming is growing, has grown. The pandemic has seemingly pushed it even further ahead. Again, we'll find out whether, because of the pandemic, whether we've been pushed a few years ahead or not. We will definitely find out. But Pong, as far as VG charts, as far as looking at numbers, as far as marketing, people who work in the marketing team for a certain company being harassed about doing their job or just celebrating their company that they've worked for a long time. What else you got to say on that, man? Anything else that?
Oh, I got it all out, and there's good discussion in here. And you know, I've been talking with Fahim here, who is more a PlayStation fan, which is cool. I'm glad he's here, and I'm glad he joins us each and every Saturday and enjoys what we do here, because that's what Steel and I are about. Again, we're not console centric. And I respect you, brother, for being here, and respect your conversation for sure. And I just asked him if because you know, he had some comments while you were speaking that we wouldn't be talking about this if both were, you know, if PlayStation was as available as they would like it to be. So I just asked him, and I'm curious about his answer, if he believes that if both PlayStation and Xbox were readily available, that it would be the 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 disparity that we had last generation, if he's of that belief, because that's another discussion we can have. Again, no, PlayStation is not going to die, Fahim. He just said, but I want to know why people seem to think PlayStation is going to die without Call of Duty on it. Just asking. Look, Call of Duty is a big revenue maker for PlayStation, right? PlayStation is not going to die without Call of Duty. Nobody here on this show, especially between me and Steel, have ever said PlayStation is going to die. No way. No. Again, the industry is healthier than it ever has been before. This industry is easily going to support 3+ PC. It's going to be able to support Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation. By no means. What people have been alluding to, and again, I'm not going to speak for everybody, because I'm sure there are some ridiculous takes out there, and I saw some of them when the Activision Blizzard deal was first announced, that if Xbox pulled Call of Duty exclusivity, that Sony would die off. No, I don't believe that in any way, shape, or form. What has been said, and what is reasonable to discuss, is without the Call of Duty marketing rights, without that Call of Duty franchise being associated so heavily with PlayStation, because again, PlayStation doesn't have other multiplayer games to fall back on. That's been the problem. That's why Jim Ryan came out and said, we're working on 10 games as a service right now, because he sees the writing on the wall. Without that Call of Duty marketing rights, they are going to lose a lot of revenue, okay? As people do pick up Xbox when this eventually does go down, and again, it's still going to be over on Sony. I've been in the camp since day one that I believe that the multiplayer would stay multiplat, right? That there would continue to live on as they stated. But as people move over to Game Pass, when this deal goes through and Xbox can now say, whenever this happens, whenever the final deal runs out, it won't be with Modern Warfare, obviously, but after that fact, when Xbox can finally say, hey, look, we now have Activision Blizzard, Call of Duty is going to be day and date on Game Pass, straight up, right? When that happens, there will be people that do move over to Xbox for Game Pass to have Call of Duty every couple years, because I do believe it's going to move to a multi-year kind of, they're going to break it up, right? They're going to give it time off. That's going to be a big deal. And Sony is accounting for that right now. Again, they are making their moves right now based upon that as well. Yeah. So nobody here though, Fahim, it's not going to die off. Okay. It's not going to die in any way, shape, or form without Call of Duty.
No, so, I don't believe that. I mean, it is going to affect it again. You can't deny the value. I think that's the biggest thing that people kind of look over. The more the conversation goes out, word of mouth is a huge thing, and it really works. Especially when you get a bunch of your friends together, and you guys start talking about it or whatever the case may be. And it takes one person to say, hey, well, you know, Call of Duty's in Game Pass. Yeah, I mean, then you could say, oh, well, you know, I could play it on whatever console. But if I tell you that I just got Call of Duty as part of my subscription, it's going to make you feel some type of way, because there's a difference between paying $60 to $70 for something and then paying $10 to $15 a month for it. Even if you wanted to say $20 a month for it, whatever the case may be, I'm not just paying for one game. And even if you are somebody new coming into the ecosystem, I know people try to say, oh, well, all people only going to get, you're trying to get people to spend $20 a month, $180 a year, $240 a year, whatever the case may be, to play one game. And you're not going to play one game. Services like Game Pass have proven that. That's why like people can't make that reference to Netflix losing subscribers to a game service. It's two completely different things. They're offering you two different completely forms of entertainment. One is completely interactive. You have to be involved with. 9 times out of 10, once you involve yourself in a game, you're not just going to pull yourself out of it. You're not going to unsubscribe from it. You're not going to not play the game anymore. You're going to want to play that game. If you cared about the game, if that game was interesting to you, if you have Call of Duty in your subscription, you might have subscribed just for Call of Duty, but if another game comes out that people are saying, man, this game is pretty cool too, and it's on Game Pass, guess what you're going to do? Whether you like other games or not, you're going to at least try it. You as a consumer are going to say, why not? Why not? Oh, I'm paying this much a month and I get all these games, I get all this access, this game people are clamoring about. I might as well try it, right? And then boom, before you know it, you have somebody who cannot now pull themselves away from the subscription. That's what makes, I know, because again, people are using that narrative with Netflix, use subs. Oh, this proves that it doesn't work in the long run. Oh, no, it doesn't. You cannot use television and compare it to gaming. People have tried to do that for years, and it does not correlate with each other. Something that is more interactive than you just sitting down, you cannot compare the two forms of entertainment. There is two completely different now I don't want to say the forms of expectation, but there's two completely different forms of investment that you put in.
Business models are different. Yeah.
Business models are different. Time investment is different. Putting 10 hours into a series versus putting 10 hours into a game, that's completely different. Mm-hmm. Way different. That's why I'll always say on the margin that, or on the side of, you can't compare the two. And why I feel that gaming has much longer legs and much more longevity than any other streaming service or subscription service does, because of the potential of games flowing in, the growth of the industry, more dev talent, more people getting financially backed. Like we talked about last week, we're getting more people involved who want to be behind developers and help support their dreams and help games become a reality. That is becoming a thing. But it is a thing. And it's only going to grow as we move forward. So,
and I can hear the argument, Steel, to go back to that point that you just made about it being different. I can hear that point. I can hear that argument as far as how people consume TV versus how gamers consume games. Right. There is something to be said for that a subscription service on the TV side of things is actually easier because people can sit down and binge watch a series, right? Okay, gamers don't generally, I mean, yeah, we do binge games per se,
right.
but we have games that literally you can drop hundreds, thousands of hours into one game, one experience, whereas TV does not give you that, right? That's different. So there is that argument out there, right? That the subscription service on the gaming side does have a chance of failure because it's going to be dependent upon a wider. Okay, let me get my thoughts together here because it's kind of complex.
That's where you're going.
So it's easier for Netflix to gain 100 million customers on their subscription service, right? Because people will join that service to consume TV entertainment in chunks, right? That's what happens, right? It's a lot easier to provide that kind of content. But when you look at a subscription service for gaming, a gamer who only, let's say, sits down and plays one game at a time to beat that game all the way through, right, has less incentive to say, hey, that $15 a month is great value to me, right? Because that one game, even though we can sit back and say it's 40, it'd be 4 months worth of Game Pass Ultimate, to that one person may not seem as valuable as just simply buying that game and owning that game and beating it and then trading it in and moving on to the next one, right? There's gamers who do game that way that would not see the subscription service as value. Whereas TV, people sit down, you got the family members, they're all consuming different TV shows at all times. They can justify that monthly cost because they're not just watching one TV show per month or one movie per month. They're consuming multiples, right? Now, Xbox is betting on the fact that they're going to be able to turn more people into grazers like me or some semblance of me by offering this diversity of games that, like you said, Steel, when you buy into the Game Pass ecosystem, that, you maybe showed up for that one game, let's say Call of Duty, since we were just using that as an example, when that happens, you showed up for that one game, but then all of a sudden you wound up looking at that 400 plus games as it stands right now and finding a bunch of other stuff that you want to jump into, right? So then they're dependent upon those gamers to come in droves and to see the subscription service as value, to stay in it, to say, hey, I'm just going to let this monthly thing keep running, loving what I'm seeing here. But as we just saw with Netflix news this week, Netflix has now dropped the ball. They stopped providing good content on a regular basis. They have now started putting all their eggs in one basket. There was an article that just came out talking about how much of their revenue they are putting back into Stranger Things right now. Right? Well, what happened? All of a sudden, now you don't have this regular flow of good new content coming on Netflix. People are dropping their subs. Now they've gotten into what we've talked about, which is what Sony does not want to have happen on their service because it's not going to be valuable to them, and why Jim Ryan right now, speaking the corporate talk, is saying it's not sustainable, because if you can't put out regular content that's attracting people to stay in that, then you wind up in this unsubscribe, subscribe, unsubscribe. Oh, the new show's out. Subscribe, unsubscribe. People are now used to subscriptions like they weren't 5-10 years ago, where they will go in because they have about 20 subscriptions each month. And I'm being dramatic, but you know what I'm saying. They have a ton of subscriptions now to everything, that they go in and look at those monthly bills and say, do I really need that? Am I really watching Netflix this month? Nah, I'm going to cancel it. I'll come back when Stranger Things shows up. Xbox has to avoid that trap by supplying diverse, continuous content into Game Pass. Otherwise, they could wind up in that same boat. There is an argument to that, but that's why you see Xbox going and doing what they're doing, why they're buying up all this. And Fahim said Xbox is buying up everything like the Yankees, but it still takes more than just that to win a championship. Absolutely. We've talked about that here, right? The Lakers. You can build the dream team, but that doesn't mean it works out, right? But again, the difference here is Xbox isn't trying to win a championship. Okay. They don't care at the end of the day. Phil's come out and said it, and he's being honest. He wants a healthy Sony. He wants a healthy Nintendo. He's not trying to win it all. What he's trying to do is to take the pie that has been capped by the console market for so long and trying to make it a much bigger pie. And he doesn't care who comes along and joins in on the feast, right? Sony, he wants Xbox and Microsoft to be the ones leading the way to the bigger pie. That's what he wants. If Sony wants to jump on board with their service, cool, jump on board. Buying up devs, cool. That's going to happen anyway in consolidation with how big this industry is. Come on board. Nintendo, you eventually want to join us? Sure. That's not happening right now, but hey, Nintendo, if you eventually want to come join us, great. The more the merrier over here, because together that pie gets even bigger, because we attract. If Sony attracts a new customer into gaming because of their specialty, which is their third-party over-the-shoulder narrative-driven action-adventure RPG games, okay? If they draw one gamer in because of that, there's a chance that gamer also looks at Xbox. There's a chance that gamer looks over at Nintendo and says, God, I'm really liking this gaming stuff over here.
Right.
what else can I find? And all of a sudden they expand. There's a chance that that new customer goes to another system as well. That's how Phil sees this industry. That's why you hear him talk about mobile. Mobile market used to be laughed at when it first showed up on the scene. People were out here saying mobile, nobody's going to play games on their phone. This is a fad. I was there when that started. Nobody's going to look at that small screen and play games. Guess what? It's #1 market in the world. And guess what? Phil sees all of those people as potential Xbox consumers because they are in the industry. Even if they're just playing Candy Crush, there's a chance that they jump in to the Xbox ecosystem. And if he can get Game Pass out and offer diversity across mobile, PC, and console, and make that accessibility as wide as possible, make the gates just open up for everybody, he knows that there's a chance he can get those people in. Because again, this is a business at the end of the day. He knows that potential is there. That's why he's looking at it the way. That's why you see Microsoft doing what they are doing. And Sony and Jim Ryan are looking over and saying, you know what? Yeah, we can see it. Jim Ryan himself admitted the console market's capped. He admitted himself that he wants PlayStation to get bigger than it has been before. Hence why you see their games going to PC now. And you're going to see that ramp up as we go through this generation more and more and more. And like I said before, the service that they're coming out with is beta form. Trust me, they're going to expand that service as they go forward, as they get games as a service in place, as they expand their diversity of different titles. They're going to start making that service more like Game Pass than it will start out as, because they understand that concept as well. It's not a hard concept, but the Netflix comparison worked to a certain point, but then it doesn't work anymore because there is a giant difference, like Steele was talking about. There's different streams of revenue that Netflix does not get. Again, you can't buy a movie on Netflix. There's no such thing as TV show or movies DLC.
No.
Okay. There's none of that that comes into play when you're talking about Game Pass and subscription services and gaming. Again, gaming's got a different beast to kind of overcome,
right? Because
it's a different value proposition to the consumer than a Netflix is. But at the end of the day, they're both trying to go for the same thing. And Phil and his team understand those differences. And that's why, again, they're moving forward with all these acquisitions, getting all this talent in-house so that they can have that constant stream of content. It hasn't happened yet. But starting, again, we saw the right now we're in the dead zone for first party from Microsoft, which is not good news for your service. Starting at the end of this year, and then into 23, I think that's where we change and we see that continuous stream of first-party content coming from Microsoft. At least one big first-party title a quarter. Eventually, we'll get to one every 2 months, I think, potentially, maybe even one a month at certain points. And I think that's how he plans on growing the service.
No, yeah, 100%. I mean, again, we don't know which way it's going to end up going. We only know what's working, what is working right now. And it's seemingly going to work going into the future. Again, this isn't Xbox, PlayStation, one needs to do the same thing. No, it's none of that. Again, PlayStation has its place for sure. And people are going to continuously invest. Like Fahim said also, it takes one game for people to, for PlayStation to release and people to back on board 100%. It does. And it could be the same thing either way. It's just depending on how you look at it. Let me see. It also says, hey, they can't just apply the Netflix model to what they're doing. So you shut off half the Activision fan base for what? And again, they're not going to do that. You know what I mean? Giving people options versus anything else, I think is going to be more of a benefit than anything. Again, we'll end up seeing how that goes. I just feel like as soon as we start seeing where you can buy games full price here, or you can subscribe here and have it part of your subscription, that's really going to start telling the true story. And we'll find out at that point what happens. The only thing that I will say about that though, and I'll kind of end it from here and we'll move on. Look at MLB The Show. You have to pay for it on one side. On the other side, it's part of your subscription. Who wins at the end of the day? You as the gamer, depending on what platform you're invested in. And again, if it's worth it to you, that money is worth it to you, then great. I couldn't justify myself paying $70 for a baseball game. Mind you, I would never play it anyway, whether it's in Game Pass or not, but I can go download it right now. But if I had a buddy that hit me up like, hey man, I'm really about this MLB, I want to play 1v1. But if I had a buddy came over and said, yeah man, let's get a round in, I could download it. Free of charge. Well, quote unquote free. And I think that's I think that's just a bigger conversation. Regardless if it was forced or not. See, and that's the thing that's the other thing that I want people to kind of come away from. It doesn't matter if it's forced or not, because yes, MLB is kind of a one situation, but if other games if it starts happening with other games, and it will, because I feel like that's the smartest thing to do, versus you having this, oh, let me keep it away from your device. Why lock things away? It could be the same thing with Spider-Man, for an example. If I could get Spider-Man on a Sony PlayStation for $15 a month, but I had to pay $70 on Xbox to buy it, there's inherent value there. I would be more inclined to get it on a PlayStation system because of that inherent value. And I know that they're going to apply that same thing to other games down the road. And I think that's the mentality, right? The bang for your buck. What's going to work for you? It's not to tell you one way is better than the other. That's not what it's about. What makes sense for you? How can we as the gamer inherently get more value out of our gaming experience while continuing to help the industry flourish? And I think we're moving in that direction. And that's the biggest thing about this conversation. So, that was a beautiful thing. I believe we had a lot of interesting points there. A lot of close to home parts there also. And I feel like we talked about it in such a way that not only made sense, but also, again, pulling ourselves out of it, talking about it subjectively. And again, us being a non-console centric platform, man, we look at it across the board. How does it affect the industry? And I feel like we really nailed it out of the park with that. Now, I think this is going to be some time for some smoke, because I definitely want to hear what Pong has to say for this, and then we'll kind of go from here. But God of War, man. So there's been information that come out. We've had some marketing leads and whatnot come out and say that the release is still on track for 2022. That everything that we're seeing, everything that you could pull up says, hey, everything is still on track. Everything looks good to go. Though for me personally, I kind of, because I'm of a couple minds, and the only reason I'm of a couple minds, because again, I can't see it coming out this year. Mainly just to have something out for the holiday. Though I do feel like it's a missed opportunity if you do not take advantage of the PC market. And that's going to be the main angle that I'm going to attack this from. Because if they release it this year, I do not see them releasing it on PC. Which is, they don't have to. It's perfectly fine. They keep it on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, and that's perfectly fine. But the reason I bring PC into it is, on one end, if the game was, again, you can look at the game being DLC or not, that's a completely different conversation. Again, you can say any game is DLC from another game when it's the next iteration. To me personally, it looks like the next iteration of the game, right? Looks like God of War 2 without calling it God of War 2. But that's exactly what it is. Again, when I get the second version of a game, I'm expecting more of the same, but with enhancements, with what do they call it? Quality of life improvements, things that help the experience be a little bit better for you, more expansive experience, things like that. So, and that's what I'm expecting out of this. Now, it is funny to hear people say that, oh, for example, like people like David Jaffe, who was a game developer, who actually created God of War, for him to say, hey, this looks like a DLC to me. And objectively, I can understand that conversation because, again, it does. Now, with that, The biggest reason why I can understand the conversation happening is because Cory Barlog did come out and say that there was DLC that they were working on and it got too expansive in scope, so they decided to make it its own thing. Whether that's Ragnarok, whether it could be whatever else, who knows? But it doesn't take a fish to put 2 and 2 together. 2 plus 2 is 4, not fish. So it makes sense why people will use that as comparison to why people say, or people are using it in the argument, oh, it's DLC. Because of that statement. I get it. And it is funny. Because, again, when you're going into the next iteration of a game, you expect more of the same. I don't necessarily think that that's a... because one of the other angles was, well, you know, that's you're downplaying the game or you're making it seem like it's less than. And I don't think calling it necessarily a DLC necessarily means that. Now, if you're being demeaning by saying that, that's something completely different.
Well, yeah, the console wars use DLC as that, right?
So exactly. And for him, again, I completely feel you. And David Jaffe, again, probably 100% did realize what he was getting at. Again, it's hard to tell whether what people meant or how they meant it, because they can always turn around and say whatever. I'm not in David Jaffe's head. I don't necessarily care, but I didn't take it as he was being demeaning to them. Again, he also stated again that it looked like it was more of the same. He actually did nothing but give high praises to God of War and everything that they've done.
He said that's not a bad thing.
And
it's one of his favorite games.
Has said, because he put out a video after people questioned him on it. He put out a video where he said that him calling it DLC, he's not saying like it's a bad thing. He clarified his statement. That's the other funny part about it, is that he clarified his statement and people are still running with it the opposite direction. Again, you hear what you want. David Jaffe is also known for getting out there and just being involved with drama. That's his thing, man. He's at home, he's chilling, he's making money off of y'all. He don't care. And it's just opinions at the end of the day. So if he likes to be involved in a little bit of smoke, fuck it. Get involved with a little bit of smoke. But again, he clarified. He was not coming across like it was some negative thing to say. But again, just to tie it back into why I say when I'm on the 2023 train, for me, the way that I'm thinking about it, it only makes sense to put it out in 2023 because of seemingly what Microsoft is going into the holiday of this year. There are so many things that if Microsoft gets right, again, we're working on if factors, that if Microsoft gets right, it does put first party IP in kind of a snafu, right? Also, PlayStation has another game that they ended up pushing back in Forspoken. Whether you want to call it a second party deal, third party deal, whatever the case may be, either way, that game is also releasing out this fall. And PlayStation is not known to release games around each other, close to each other, so they can cannibalize each other. That's just not a known thing. Now, again, I personally feel like it'd be a missed opportunity for Sony to just take their time and release the game early 2023 when strategically Xbox never has anything going into the beginning of the year. Zero. This is the perfect opportunity to make up for that time for, instead of Horizon, which again got stomped out by Elden Ring, the conversation stopped around Horizon real quick after Elden Ring dropped, which is again another, the game's going to do well. The game looks beautiful. The game, again, I know it's going to do, and I know it plays great from what I've seen. So nothing against it, but God of War is in Horizon, right? It's a completely different IP, has a completely different level of hype behind it. So I feel like you releasing it February, March of next year would do so much for it, along with not only that, but since you already have God of War 2018 on PC also, if the game was already being built using the same assets, because again, people act like there's not reused assets. That's one of the number one things people are complaining about Horizon. Again, I still don't see why that didn't end up coming out on PC also. So, but either way, in God of War's aspect, because it looks similar to the original game, and there's not much else that I've seen, at least, that to kind of separate itself. I don't see why you missed the opportunity to go ahead and release your second game, quote unquote, with a PC release also. And you'd be able to do that if you gave it a little bit more time. Like they've come out and said, hey, you know, we're working on God of War currently. We got our heads down. We got nothing to say right now. They came out this week and said, hey, we don't have nothing to say. Came out on 420 and said, hey, we're working on it right now. Why not take that extra time and work with one of your other studios who do the porting over to PC and say, hey, guys, we work on this. We're going to release it in February, March. We want to do a big release on it. We want to release it everywhere so we can get as much attention and as much influx of money that we can get possible. Sales, day one. That's what it's about. I feel like with Horizon, they missed an opportunity to do that. Now, again, you can feel what you want, say what you want to say. I just feel like because of the similarities, because of the opportunity to garner, again, more traction and everything, it just, to me, makes more sense if they don't rush it or don't make it seem like they need to put it out to compete. Again, Sony could cut other deals and everything to be part of the conversation come fall, winter. You don't have to release God of War to do that. Now, again, you could bring up the conversation, you could bring up the argument that they can release it on PC whenever they want and it'll do just fine. Sure, you can definitely say that. But again, after some time, after initial release, games do lose their traction. They do lose their steam. And I've been on record here saying also that it just makes more sense to get more of that money up front so you can decide where God of War is going to go next, because I do not know and I do not have confidence that they know where they want to take God of War next after Ragnarok. Because Ragnarok's the end of the world, right? That's what's considered in that mythology, the end of the world. Where do you go from that? Now, again, I'm not the game creator. I'm not the designer. I'm not working on the story. I didn't build the story, so I don't know. Maybe they got the plan already together. But if you already want to go in the right direction, not wait 5 or 6 years later to see if your IP has that same sachet that it always had, or to see how much bigger that you can make this next game. I just feel like it's a missed opportunity if you say, just for marketing standpoint or just to have something out, say, oh, we're going to release it this year just cause. No, why not just take advantage of what you're doing? You already have the game on PC, release it. Just go ahead and release it on PC, as well as PS4 and PS5. Why not? I feel like it would have did Horizon better if it would have did the same thing. And that's my perspective on it. And it's not anything else, because I hear other people are saying that just for fanboy purposes. Oh, it just needs to be 2023 because PlayStation ass. No. For me, it just makes more marketing sense to do it that way, because of the attention that you'll end up garnering. Pong, I know you feel a little bit differently. You're on the 2022 train. You said you're going to argue with me about it. You might bring up some other good points that I'll argue back with you. But essentially, that's my kind of idea of why I say 2023, because it just makes so much more sense, especially if the game was rumored to be DLC previously. Why not, right? Again, you can go many different ways, but what are you thinking, man?
Look, I'm so angry at you right now, you big, fat, bald mother. No.
Hey.
Let's get personal like other shows, right?
Yeah, right.
Look, hey, listen. Yeah, this was just kind of funny because Steel and I so rarely have like competing views on something that I kind of played this one up because I think it is funny. When it comes to, I don't understand the 2023 crowd. Like, I hear what you're saying, obviously, Steel. I understand, like, history kind of shows that's PlayStation's MO. You bring in valid points with the PC side of things. I just don't think, number one, that their history works anymore. And Jim Ryan and his team understand that. The way that they got away with doing their releases last gen isn't going to cut it this gen. Again, it goes back to Xbox is now competing. Okay. Their dominance allowed them to kind of make up the rules on how they wanted to do business from their end, right? This is the way business works. When you're top dog and you are destroying competition left and right, you kind of control, you're in the driver's seat, right? This generation, they're not. Okay. And right now, in some areas, they're playing catch up. We've spoken about it. They are in a great position still. Again, as far as mind share goes worldwide, it's still PlayStation's land. Right. So they can kind of still do that. But I think Jim is trying to change that because he understands that they can't live off of that way anymore. So I think that that's one piece. The second piece is I don't think they're ready. They are prepping, and they went out and acquired companies like Nixus to help with the PC side of things, but I don't think they're ready to make that leap to coincide day one releases on console with PC releases. I think that's still some time down the road. But I hear you. I get the advantages, and of course, I agree with you from a business standpoint why that would make the most sense. But I think right now in the near future, I think that Sony is understanding that if God of War Ragnarok can come out this year and they can bookend the year. And again, what happened with Horizon Forbidden West and what happened with Elden Ring showing up on the scene and becoming a phenomenon, which nobody really honestly saw. Right. Nobody saw that. Right. But they still had that plan in place, I believe, to bookend this year with Horizon Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok. And I think with some of the other acquisitions they made of the smaller support studios, I think that was all in line with them saying, we need God of War Ragnarok in 2022. And I don't think that's changed. And I think in some ways it might have even increased with what happened with Forbidden West, because I think that they really need a strong end of the year rolling into 2023. And as we talked about here still, 2023 is the real year. Okay. All hands on deck. The guns are going to be firing from all sides. Right. Sony, Nintendo, and Xbox in 2023 and 2024, but 2023 starts it. So I think they want that end of the year run with God of War Ragnarok because it will give them a significant push, not only on PlayStation 5, and hopefully they will have a lot of their supply issues fixed by then. Not saying it's going to be perfect, not saying it's going to be exactly where they want it to be, where all of a sudden we've got 100 PS5s in stores ready to be bought. I'm not saying that. But I think that by the end of this year, they will have a much better handle on the supply chain, and they will see a regular drop both online and in brick and mortar retail stores. So I think they want God of War Ragnarok there to take advantage of that. Yes, there's still going to be a ton of people who are just buying them to play Ratchet and Clank, to play Horizon Forbidden West, to play all the games that have already come out, Gran Turismo, etc. But that God of War Ragnarok push will be huge for them. Yeah, in the holiday season. And I honestly don't think that Jim wants to give away another holiday season to Xbox. It wasn't important to them during the PS4 generation because it didn't have to be. They were selling no matter what. It didn't matter when they were putting out games. It didn't look, PlayStation was riding the wave, man. They were surfing, they were up there, they were chilled out, everything was cool. Guess what? The season's gotten rough. Okay. It's not that easy anymore. They can't grab whatever wave they want, ride it how they want it. Right. Now they got other borders up there next to them, mainly Xbox, also on those same waves. So I think that the holiday season is now in focus for PlayStation, and God of War would be huge for them. So I think they've brought all hands on deck to get this thing out. We've seen some proof of that. You spoke on it. Bruno Velasquez, after Corey put out his post on 420, Bruno Velasquez, who is actually the animation director over at Sony Santa Monica, was the one who somebody had asked underneath Corey to, tell them that that it was coming out in 2022. Right. Bruno hopped into Twitter and said, it is coming this year. We've seen some other signs as well. We've seen some contracted people leaving Sony Santa Monica. Right. over the past couple of weeks, right? Some of the environmentalists, some of the people that you would expect when a game is wrapping up and they're going into polishing phase are moving on to different jobs elsewhere within the industry. Okay. So we're starting to see that happen as well. All signs are pointing that 2022 is going to be the year for God of War Ragnarok. And I still believe that. And I think it just makes too much sense for Jim and his team to have something. Again, if Xbox hits everything that they plan on hitting, is it still going to be an Xbox hype season the second half of this year? Yeah, much like last year, you're going to see Xbox in the news nonstop. But Sony's going to be able to drive a lot and be able to create some waves of their own with God of War, because God of War, let's face it, look, you got Last of Us, you got Spider-Man, and then you got God of War Ragnarok, and you can put those in any order you want to as how important of a title they are for Sony. Even though this is cross-gen, even though it's not going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive, that God of War hype is real because a lot of people.
Yeah, and you can't. That doesn't mean anything. Look at Forbidden West and how great that game looks like.
Correct. And a lot of people have God of War as their favorite franchise or one of their GOAT franchises of all time, especially after God of War 2018, right? Even, look at Dealer flat out, shout out to Dealer and RDX crew.
I don't agree,
Dealer flat out talks about it all the time. Says God of War Ragnarok is one of his favorite games of all time, right? That's how this works. This name will create its own hype train as well for Sony. So I think that's why they do it still.
Right.
And then they roll into 2023. Look, make no mistake about it here, folks. As much as we talk about how much Xbox has in the works, and again, it is insane. Xbox Ultimate last night, we talked about what we felt were, Xbox could do with their showcase. And I had my wish list, or I had my dream scenario of how kind of will all go down. And I left out so many things. And it already sounded like a ridiculous E3, again, I say E3 because everybody understands what I'm saying. I know E3 is not here, but it's Xbox Showcase. It's going to be around that same time frame in June, along with Keighley's Summer Games Fest. I left out so much stuff still that when we started talking about it, because everybody was like, well, that would be ridiculous. That'd be so amazing if all that comes true. And I'm like, and we started talking about all the stuff I left out, and it was just boggles the mind. Sony, look, they may not have as much in-house talent now as Xbox does. They don't have the number of studios that Xbox has, but we've known for over a year now that in the background, Sony has been cutting deals left and right.
And that's my thing. 100%.
Right, exactly. They've been cutting deals. They've expanded their already impressive teams, and I truly believe that Jim is getting to the point where the Naughty Dogs, the Insomniacs, the Sony Santa Monica's, he wants them all working on multiple projects, 2 to 3 projects each time. It's not going to be last gen where it's one project, 5-6 years, and then Last of Us 2 shows up. It's not going to go that way anymore. He wants 2 to 3 projects out of each one of those teams. So there's a lot of stuff that we don't know about from Sony on top of second and third party deals that they've cut in the background that we're going to start hearing about. And I think that along with God of War, right? God of War is your main feast. You're going to have some side dishes we weren't expecting coming out of Sony this holiday as well. So as much as we say, if Xbox hits on all cylinders this year, and we know the second half of the year is loaded, if they do, they're going to be dominating headlines. Sony's going to shoehorn their way into this holiday talk this year, unlike they've done for a long time going back through their history. And I think that that's what the difference is. That's why I see it coming out this year. So again, smoke is what it is. I just can't hear the people that are honestly still saying, nope, 2023, nope, 2020. Give me your reasons why, because all signs are pointing that this is the year for God of War. Like, I hear you, go back through the dev cycle here. Cory Barlog had this idea and had the structure laid out right after God of War 2018 launched. He was told, no, it's too big for DLC, but he already had the outline, the framework done. So again, they've been working on God of War Ragnarok since sometime probably early 2019. If you go back and look at some of the news articles, they were already working on Ragnarok. So we're talking about three, almost 4 years in to a game that, again, cross-gen, again, as some people have described, looks like DLC. Why does it look that way? Because they're going to be able to reuse a lot of the assets from God of War 2018, spiff them up, new environments, sure, but that stuff has been worked on for a long time. There's no reason why, in my mind, time frame wise, even with the pandemic, even with stuff happening, that nearly 4 years of work, we could not have the sequel out this year. So that's where I'm at with it, Steel. Again, I just think this is it. So.
No, I mean, I definitely get that. And again, you're bringing up like actual information as far as like people have come out and everything. And we can only go really based off of that. If you were wanting to have like a super serious conversation about it. Outside of that, it's all speculation, right? I know we're co-founders and mayors and and everything of Speculation Town, so I always try to take that approach of it, and I always want to see the market do better and do what I think is going to necessarily make sense. But again, there could be also a reason why I'm not in those positions. But if it does end up coming out this year, I just feel like it is going to put them in a conversation that I really hope that they're prepared for it, man, because again, like you also mentioned, if Xbox does come out hitting on all cylinders, Sony gets their deals together, they have an excellent little thing going on. Who knows how well them announcing the subscription service and the official release date of that, and what's all going to go into that, what's going to come November, what that's going to shape up. The biggest thing for me is I do know that Sony does take pride in their IPs and wants a lot of attention. The other thing too, you're talking about the dev cycle and everything. If this is the second game, why not just give it the full second game treatment? If it's going to take 5 years for you to put out the next game, 5-6 years to put out the next game, then take that time. Why not take more time polishing it up and releasing it and everything? And that's the biggest thing. Again, they could definitely release it this year. It is going to move consoles. It is one of their bigger IPs, so it's definitely going to, you're definitely going to be able to strut that brand loyalty around this fall. It's going to make people really debate on which direction they're going to want to go. But I also think it's going to end up opening a bigger conversation when you have, like, for an example, and some people have talked about in the chat, you have a Starfield to compete against, you have a Redfall to compete against, you have Halo's Season 3 you're just going to have to compete against. And that's a whole different thing that I do definitely want to touch on here soon. But there's so many other things that there's going to be a lot of competition, right? And I think that's what also makes this unique, because if it does come out this year and everything's on track and everything's on point, it's going to really answer all the prayers that everybody's been wanting. Yeah. Where's the competition at? Where's, is Sony more popular? Is that one brand, is that one IP mean more than the several that Xbox could possibly release? Or more than any of the other IPs that could possibly release, whether that comes from Sony or not? Or Nintendo possibly. Again, Nintendo's going to release Pokemon this fall. Another one. So there's a lot to work against, and it's just, to me, but it's just kind of putting a little bit of a business hat, put my business hat on backwards, because I don't own my own business or anything like that, but I can put it on backwards because
Hey, you're co-owner of LSS.
That's
Come
true.
on now.
We are owners of Living Splitscreen, which we do need to make official. But just to put my business cap on, put it and tilt it backwards. For me, it just makes more sense if I know my competition is weak, whether I release it on PC or not. If I know my competition is weak at the beginning of the year, why not just make sure everything is hitting on all cylinders and just release it top of the year going into 2023, when that's also supposed to be my competition's bigger year, because they have games supposedly they're going to be releasing on a monthly, semi-monthly, or a quarterly basis. I can again prove a point right there. Doesn't matter. You can release games quarterly all you want. I got God of War. I got Spider-Man. I got, there's other games, because they could easily also, the other thing they could do, and another reason why I think 2023 would just make sense, they could say, God of War 2023, but guess what? Spider-Man PC this fall. And that's going to sell, and that's going to churn numbers also.
Oh yeah, so they can do that anyways, right?
Right. They
you
can
know
do that
what?
at any point,
you know what you're going to get next spring, Steel? You know what you're going to get next spring from Sony.
What?
You know it. They're going to have their service up and running.
Oh,
they're going to have a good feel for their service. You know what's coming next. Yeah. Factions is coming next spring, bro. Standalone Factions is coming next spring.
I hope so. But you could also do that this fall too. You could do that this fall too, though.
Right? But they're still hiring for it, so I don't think it's ready.
True, but damn, it's like.
But they're going to mature. They're going to look. They're going to take the 6 months from June to the end of the year, right? Get a good feel for their service, right? They're going to get a good idea how many people that convert over, what it's looking like. Have a couple third-party deals in there. Get a good feel for that service, right? Gran Turismo may pop in there. I'm still underneath that belief that they pop Gran Turismo into that service because it's set up for it. Even if it's going to piss off the people that bought full price Gran Turismo, I don't care. Sony doesn't care. They're going to do it. It's a business move. And then I think they get a good feel, and then they hit out of the park early 2023 Factions right into that service, bro. Free to play.
I hope so.
Microtransact, bro. It makes so much sense, man, because that would be a huge announcement too. It would be. In that early part of that year.
I mean, again, that's the only thing that you have. If you can say that it's coming out this fall, you got me. You got me. Right. That's all I need.
Right. It. And they could surprise. They could come up with a stellar lineup. Like I said, we talk about, because we know a lot of what Xbox has got working for the second half of the year, because that's where they've kind of put all their eggs in that basket the second half of the year again. So we already kind of know about them. But Sony, again, there's a lot of stuff we don't know because stuff does not get leaked out of Sony. They are very tight ship.
They're good about that.
So we do know Factions could be ready, or a version of Factions, if it's going to be a games as a service, could be ready to drop this fall right alongside God of War Ragnarok, along with a couple of second, third party deals. Bro, you got yourself a competition like you were just talking about, Steel. This is why we love this industry. Right. This is why I'm so excited about this generation. Everybody is back in full swing. Nintendo next year could drop a brand new Switch right alongside Breath of the Wild 2. Brother, you're talking again, golden age of gaming is here, people. This is why we get so excited, because all these companies are finally back on track. This is going back to the Xbox 360, PS3 era all over again. This is flat out why we gamers are winning right now, why it's such a great time to be one wherever you are playing. It does not matter. You're going to get good stuff because all these people are fighting for our money. All these companies want it. Period. Right now. Yeah,
100%. And that's the angle that I'm coming from. Why I say that. Again, I know a lot of other people use that for console war BS and everything else. For me, it's just when I'm sitting back thinking about it, it's like, what would I do if I was in that seat? And that's kind of what I would do. Again, me pushing back the release, I could be sending down PlayStation down a terrible path. Who knows? But again, being able to have this conversation, which is why I thought it was interesting that we were kind of separate on that spectrum. And again, I knew that anyway. But that's what makes these conversations interesting, and also opens up other conversation, a bunch of different angles that you could go. Again, it's hearsay, but it is talk that's going through the industry, and I thought that was going to be an interesting point.
It's important. And again, people have to remember, and Fahim, I love you defending it. Hey, chat. First of all, Living Splitscreen chat, right? Guys, listen up. Steel and I haven't talked about this for a long time because normally we have corresponding discussion in the chat along with what we're talking. But I love to see what's going on in there right now.
Hell yeah.
Again, only on Xbox. You guys go back and forth, have your discussions, have the debate. That's what we do here, right? We just don't do the console wars, so don't get personal in there, okay? That's whatever. But I love what you guys got going on in there. And Fahim, I love you standing your ground and defending. And again, anybody who says that Sony's going to get walked on or destroyed, that's not how this is all going to play out, okay? Neither Steel nor I believe that in any way, shape, or form. Sony is going to be Sony. Just want you to keep this in mind. Sony is changing right now with the times, okay? This is not a knock against Sony. They just see what's coming. Jim Ryan is a businessman. And when it comes to something like God of War Ragnarok, like Steel was talking about, the old way would be to take 5-6 years, drop out this, full sequel. Jim Ryan came out last year in interviews and talked about how he wanted to start working on smaller projects, smaller games that take less time and aren't as expensive as the old ways. He didn't say that across the board, but that's why I could see God of War Ragnarok as being, I'm not saying a 10-hour experience by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying it could be the same or a little bit less than what we got out of God of War Ragnarok 2018, hence why the quicker turnaround for them, because he understands it's important. They need more content coming out to compete with what Xbox has going on over there. So, but otherwise, appreciate you all in the chat. Love you all for coming in here and having great discussions along with us. It's awesome. It's awesome.
And
thank you, Dragonheart, Yobi. Yeah, Yobi.
Yeah. Shout out to Yobi and Dutch. I mean, again, y'all have a civilized conversation. I don't see nothing wrong with again for him and only on Xbox. Y'all have a good civilized conversation. Again, y'all are pointing some stuff out, but hey, again, it's just honest conversation. There's nothing wrong with supporting what you believe in. Again, it's just about keeping it open. That's why, again, we host a non-console centric platform where it's not swung one way or the other, though we're also able to be honest with you and tell you what our opinions are. So, all right, with that being said, I think it's time. We just spoken about PlayStation and what may or may not be possible. We need to talk about Xbox and what may or may not be possible, because god damn it, Pong. You know, I sat here last weekend and the weekend before that trying to defend 343 and their strategies and Halo Infinite, and god damn it, Pong. It came out with an update this week for Lone Wolves. Season 2, man, another 6-month season. I am quoted here saying that if they do another 6-month season, that I did not believe that was going to be a good thing or that it was going to be okay. I have said that here, so I definitely am going to lead with some of that. Again, 343 is in a very interesting, for lack of a better way to put it, they're in a very interesting space right now. Me and Paul kind of talk about it off and on in the background and everything in the DMs, and 343 seemingly from the outside looking in has a lot of management shit that they need to fix. There's a lot of internal things that were wrong in that studio that I cannot wait to get a book on, or a video or a documentary, something. I need one about this goddamn game. Because I know we've heard of games coming out rough and, we just made it in time and everything else. But god damn, does there have to be a lot more happening behind the scenes for us to be going into another 6 months of a lack of content. 2 maps and game modes are unfortunately are not enough to get people to come back, or to keep people invested. Now, I'm up a couple minds here too, because again, Halo has gone the free-to-play model. And again, whether for better or for worse, the free-to-play model does give you the opportunity to release content whenever you want, and for an influx of people to come flocking back into your ecosystem. Destiny does it the best. Fortnite does it even better. If there's one thing that both of those games have proven, Warzone 2, is that you can release content and people will come back. The biggest reason that people are not invested in Halo right now, for an example, people like myself, when I get on the Halo, I jump into some games, I have a good time. If it's not involved with the community, you probably won't see me on like that. I've completed my battle pass. I have no reason to continuously keep playing. It's not back in the day for me, where Halo was the only game that I had to play. I can stop playing Halo and play other games. Not to say that I can't get as involved or whatever else the case might be. It is what it is. But the number one disadvantage that Halo has is that I do have other games to play. Now, whether you want to see that as a good thing or a bad thing is completely up to you. There was a conversation kind of surrounding this that I've heard also, that, if Halo's not giving you enough to play, why aren't you upset? Well, again, like I just said, I do have other games to play. And whether that's a good thing for Halo or not is completely subjective. I do believe, and I've said this before, that Halo is severely lacking in customization. That's the number one thing that'll attract me and keep me invested. Number one thing. And I don't understand why that form of customization isn't as deep or as involved as they, one, claimed it was going to be, two, especially when you compare it to MCC, Master Chief Collection. Now, to each their own. Again, I do not design games. I don't know what goes into this. But it does speak to the bigger picture of another 6-month season tells me that we need more time. We're still hiring. We're still trying to get people on the right direction to make sure we can get content out. Certain Affinity, I do think, has a much bigger seat to sit in than some people might anticipate. I think there's a lot more happening behind the scene. I think they're actually going to release whatever they're working on with Halo Infinite within the 6-year period, if not at the top of the year of going into season 3. Biggest reason for that is because it's easy for you to come in and say, oh yeah, 6-month season, but guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Battle Royale, Halo Infinite. Guess what? Go ahead, try it. Completely separate. You can play it. You don't have to download the full game. You can play it here at your own leisure. Oh, guess what? Because guess what? If you release a Battle Royale, you cannot use the season pass that you got right now. No, it is not going to work.
That was an evil laugh, by the way.
Jesus. I had to throw that in there. I had to throw that in because, I mean, let's be honest, it's not going to work that way. So you have to have more content coming behind that. So that tells me that, all right, well, there are some things in the works. Again, I don't agree with people saying that, oh, yes, if this was a game that was going to be released in 2021, I don't know what the hell they were smoking. Because goddamn, was there a lot of pieces to this puzzle fucking missing. A lot. 343, if you would have released this, this would have been a crime against humanity. I am glad it didn't get released. God damn. It needed at least that, or 2020, sorry. It released in 2021. For it to come out as 2020, god damn, somebody was smoking on some good ganja, boy. But it releasing in 2021, I don't think that the game is as in bad a condition as people try to make it seem. They have an excellent foundation. The story, to me, personally, I thought was actually also very solid. But there are key components missing that a lot of people who are interested in Halo are reasons to why they play it. Forge, co-op, more maps. Again, I'm not a game dev, so I'm not going to be like, I'm not just going to sit here and say, how hard is it to add more maps? So I know that's something that people always going to go to get into. Oh, you could have just dropped in all these maps that you have in MCC and the Halo Infinite, and why don't you just call it a day? Well, obviously, it's a completely different game. If you look at the design, the map design of the current multiplayer games that are in Halo Infinite, obviously they're doing something a little bit different. Yeah, they want to call back to what makes Halo Halo, especially the multiplayer side of things, but they also want to try to take it a new direction, right? Again, Halo being in its free-to-play model, it is working against itself. There are other free-to-play models that we can compare and say, oh, you could have done these things, or why didn't you learn your lesson? But I do think that this isn't necessarily like a Battlefield situation. This isn't DICE. Oh, we've learned our lesson, but we're going to release another shitty Battlefield game. Oh, we're sorry. It was within spectrum for as many bugs as we thought that was okay. That amount of bugs was okay. We thought it was fine to release it like that. It's not the same thing when it comes to Halo Infinite. It's a much more complete game overall. And again, for better or for worse, you have other games to play. And it is what it is. Maybe that's part of the reason why I'm not salty about the entire situation, because I'm not just sitting up on Halo all day, complaining that, oh, I'm the highest rank in Halo and there's nothing else to play. Again, the number one reason why I played Halo back in the day, multiplayer-wise, 1, to glitch out the map, 2, to be competitive and play against other people who have a similar skill. That's what Halo was about, the competition. Not, oh, about how many maps I got. No, about how much content is missing. The only thing I had back in the day was Spartan colors. I had a primary and I had a secondary. I could either be blue and yellow, or I could be white and yellow, or I could be whatever other color that I wanted to be, and that was it. Then it kind of, it progressively got better, and they gave us a little bit more. I feel like
black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow.
I feel like with this, again, yes, they've missed out on a lot of opportunity to do a lot of things right and to get into the good graces of the Halo fan base that is so fucking rabid. God damn. You can't make a Halo fan happy, period. The show isn't good enough, the games aren't good enough, the books aren't good enough, nothing can be good enough. So either way, you can't do everything for everybody. Though I do think it is a misstep. And it's hard for me to even say that because, again, I'm not in the studio, man. But I do think it's unfortunate when you're blatantly telling me that the creative direction and the management has not been there in the last 5 years, at least. It hasn't been there. Because if it was, the game would have not released the way that it has. And I know a lot of people are putting on Joseph Staten or whatever the case might be, saying, oh, well, he's got there and he hasn't done nothing different. It's still shitty. And it's like, it's hard to say that. Because of him, maybe the campaign did get right. Maybe the story direction did get better. Maybe it could have been much more in greater shambles than what we got. Maybe the multiplayer was more in shambles than what we got, which in hindsight, looking back, they said it was pretty much put together. And I know there's been a lot of time put into the multiplayer side of Halo anyway. But it's going to take time for this, again, as the adage goes, oh, it takes time to turn a big ship. Halo is Microsoft's biggest flagship IP. It is their biggest ship. So if things were going wrong in an upper level and they were going wrong for a while, it is going to take time to weed out what the problem is, how to fix it, and the direction that they need to take it. And it's so easy for us to get online and say, oh, you should just do A, B, and C. A, B, and C isn't always going to equal out to D, E, and F down the road. It doesn't work that way all the time. You could do all the things that's part of the reason why Gears has gone the direction that it has, why Gears 5 doesn't. I know people say, oh, well, Gears 5, it's dead because it's the same thing over and over. No, Gears 5 is dead because there's a prime example of a devs listening too much to the community. Make your goddamn game and leave it the fuck alone. Making slight adjustments or having people involved that actually know what's going on and have an understanding of how to build out the PvP and really make it better is one thing. But constantly making adjustments and not having consistency in a multiplayer game is also a fucking problem. And people will continue to bitch about it and complain and everything else. It's not always about the formula. It's about why are you trying to fix something that's not broken? Gears of War 4 was perfect, multiplayer-wise. Regardless of how you feel about the story, multiplayer-wise is the best Gears multiplayer that we've experienced to date, other than Gears of War 2. Halo Infinite is the best story in multiplayer that we have gotten out of a Halo since Halo, to me, if you want to go old school, Halo 2, and if you want to go new school, Halo 4. Halo 2 for the multiplayer, Halo 4 for the story. They have made one coherent game. Both are really good. They prove one thing that 343 has done throughout this entire process has proven that they can make a good story and a good multiplayer. Now they just need to work on the content, which wasn't an issue before. Again, when you're recycling old assets, Halo 1, 2, 3, Master Chief Collection, nothing but reused assets. Up-resing the game, making it play better, run smoother, look better. Halo Infinite, completely different game. We're moving to the future of Halo. Not only that, but people also made it come across like Because of this extended season and everything, and because people are going back to Halo MCC, Master Chief Collection, are making it seem like that's a bad thing. And it's not. Because guess what? You're still playing Halo. Xbox, PC, no matter where you're playing it, you're still playing it. And if they're still going to support MCC, which I don't think is necessarily the right thing to do, especially when you need help on Halo Infinite, but that's neither here or there. But if you're still supporting MCC, then you're getting nothing but in return on investment way above and beyond than what you were getting before when you were looking at for that within the first 3 to 4 years of when MCC released. So you release more content, people are flocking back to Master Chief Collection because they've maxed out the Battle Pass, they've done everything that they could in Halo Infinite, and there's nothing else that they can possibly have fun in, or they're not getting any more enjoyment out of it. You're still playing Halo. At the end of the day, 343 wins. But if we're that upset about it, we also can't play two sides of the same fence, or play two sides of it, or we can't play two different sides. You can't be upset and then still play the game. That doesn't make sense. You can say, oh, I don't like this, but I'm having a good time with it. I enjoy it for what it is. It does need more content, but damn, I can't turn down that gameplay. Can't turn down how it feels when I'm in a 1v1 interaction and I outskill that guy. Or if I'm playing with my squad, playing with a group of guys, or I'm in a custom match, how that feels when you get those dubs and you get that team environment going. You can't deny the foundation that has been put in front of us. And that's the number one thing I don't want people to miss on, but I cannot sit here and say that, God damn it, the change needs to happen much sooner than later. Yes, Phil, Bonnie, Sarah, Booty, y'all need to sit in a fucking enclosed space and throw hands with each other, throw hands with the people that are in management or holding, sitting in the seats of 343 who have let this shit ride for as long as it has, because now you being the head of the studios, Phil, you being the guy who represents that entire division for Xbox, people are looking at you sideways. Phil, you let this happen with 343? You let this calamity happen within 343 this entire time? What the fuck is going on? You want us to believe that you can carry on over 30 plus studios? That you're going to give them proper support? You can't get your flagship IP in order. It's hard to argue with those people who say that when you've presented what you've presented in front of us now. And then give us another 6-month season. Maybe. Oh, Pong, we're getting a Forge beta. We're not even getting the full Forge. Mind you, again, it might work flawlessly. It's currently in alpha. People are play testing it now. It could work. It could be working beautifully right now. But it does not take away from it is a beta. We're supposed to be getting the full Forge. We're getting beta Forge. We're getting more game modes in 2 maps. We are getting more customization. We are getting a new battle pass. There are going to be more things to grind for. I am definitely going to get to level 100 in that battle pass. So again, it's hard for me to complain because I will play it and I will enjoy it. And I will spend my $10 for that battle pass or the season pass or whatever the case might be. Because I enjoyed the gameplay loop. I enjoyed the foundation that's been put in front of me. And I also understand as a live service game, Destiny didn't start off good. Apex didn't start off good. Fortnite didn't start off good. Call of Duty didn't start off well when it went this route. Fortnite, mind you, I actually enjoyed some Fortnite. That no build mode is actually kind of fun. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I was having a good time playing with that, my brother. I actually got the Moon Knight skin that just recently released. So hey, they got me. But it's another proof of if you do it right, you do it well, people will play. And Halo isn't dead. Halo is one of those IP where people can come away and then, just like Destiny, you release new content, there's going to be an influx of people who are like, Halo, fucking right, let's get it. Did they get it right this time? No? All right, well, I'll get to 100, check out, play a different game, then I'll come back. Did they get it right this time? Yes? Yay! Now it's all about Halo. Now, 3 years later, you have hundreds, if not millions, of people playing Halo. on a daily basis. And please stop comparing your Steam numbers and using that as accurate numbers for what the Halo community is represented as. Halo has also always been a console game. Most people are going to play Halo on a console. PC players are very fickle, and to say that 200,000 people is a lot for a PC game, sure, it is on Steam, but the PC market is also a lot bigger than 200,000 people. Like, come on, ladies and gentlemen. Like, what conversation are we really having here? That's my biggest thing on Halo right now. I don't think it's a doom and gloom scenario. I do think it's unfortunate that we are going into another 6-month season, though. Again, it is hard for me to complain. Call me a shill, you call me what you want, call me a Halo fanboy. I'll freely tell you, I am a Halo fan. I'm also a Halo fan that loves the Halo show. So call it what you want. I am very passionate about Halo, though. And no, I can, and yes, and I can be honest and say it has not pulled the attention from me that I was expecting to get from it, but it did until I got to level 100 in the battle pass. It did when I was grinding and I was on point and I was playing it all the time. But once I completed it, I have other games to play. Other games are releasing. I do a podcast. I am in the gaming community. There are other games that I would like to love and talk about. I can't just sit here like I did back in the day and only play Halo. That's not just where my attention lies. So, as much as it's unfortunate, I'm grateful because now that just gives me time to, once I level out this next battle pass, depending on who I'm involved with and everything else and who's playing, I'm just going to move on to the next game and complete that, have a good time with it, and then continue to move on from there. I think Halo's got a good foundation, and I'm excited for what the future's going to bring us. So, Pong, again, casual ass Halo fan, but
true story. No horse in this race.
How are you feeling about this? Is this a missed opportunity? Again, another 6-month battle pass, man. Like, what are you thinking, man? Like, does it kind of lead back to that credence, like I mentioned earlier? We've talked about in the background. Man, it's management just becoming much more obvious. Things have been going on a lot longer than maybe anticipated. What are you thinking about, man? What is this telling you?
Hey, shout out, first of all, to the Vampire Boba Fett Gaming for showing up. It's 3 a.m. where he is. Oh, so wow. Shout out to you for showing up in here. Yeah, shout out there. Shout out to Yobi for making me even more jealous that I'm not at PAX because he retweeted out a post from PAX. Brother, they have a room with 10 Steel Battalion setups.
Really?
Running there. Yes.
That's kind of dope. Damn.
Wow. That is so freaking fire. Bro, I did not own the original OG Xbox, but I had a buddy.
Right.
He had Steel Battalion. And talk about living out your mech fantasies. Bro, Steel Battalion with that controller. They've got the controller steel. They've got them all linked at PAX. 10 Steel Battalion fully
That's so dope.
Setups. Oh my God. I'm so jealous.
That's so dope.
Yo, all right. So back on the Halo. I got distracted there. Look, yeah, this is disappointing. Again, no horse in this race. Again, I want Halo to succeed for the Xbox community, for all the fans like yourself, Steel, that are out there that have been waiting for the Halo Infinite experience to be here and to really be able to sit back and enjoy Halo the way it's meant to be. And again, with 4 and 5, with the different problems that 343 had that didn't, again, like you said, Steel, with the Halo community, you're never going to make everybody happy. No. Okay, it's impossible to do. But with those setbacks they had in 4 and 5 and the discourse around 4 and 5 for different reasons, really want to see Halo Infinite really bring back that old Halo experience for all the super fans out there that have been waiting on this, and to introduce new fans to this universe. Because Halo, again, even as somebody who's not attached to Halo that way, I understand how big this, that Halo could actually become if they truly hit it on all cylinders. If they were truly looking at expanding this universe, which they obviously are. Again, the Halo TV series is out there, and it's actually drawing more fans as this season's going on. I've seen more people say, hey, getting better and better here, you know, and they got season 2 to look forward to. So there's really a lot of potential here. So I want Halo to succeed. As a gamer, as somebody who's been doing this for a long time, who's watched all the changes, you know, and sitting back and watching what 343 is doing with Infinite, it is disappointing. They do have a solid foundation. We talked about this at length, Steel. Talked about this on so many shows on the lead up to the launch before it even was here. You know, we went from a year out after the poor showing, you know, and then them finally coming out and Phil making the what I still call a courageous gaming decision and delaying Halo Infinite for a year.
It needed it, but
one of the most courageous decisions made business wise. You know, and then we started talking about, okay, so they're going to work on this and what are they going to do to fix it? And we went through all the kind of the armchair CEO talk about, you know, what changes needed to happen in the leadership roles at 343, what kind of problems may be happening there. We had all of that, right? And then they come out with the multiplayer beta and it blows everybody away, including myself, you know, having such a fun time, extremely polished, all this good hype coming around Halo again, deserved, right? When it came out, it was looking just fantastic. And then it leads up to launch. Yeah. And the campaign gets good reviews, right? People talking about campaign going, this is Halo. This is good. I like this semi-open world Halo experience that I've got here. Multiplayer is looking good. Now, what do we got for the seasons? You know, because we know they talked about it. This is the 10-year plan. This is a games as a service. We've got all these examples, Steel. This is nothing new. We got all these examples as we always bring up here whenever a game comes out like this. So look, you got your Apex, you got your Fortnite, you got your Call of Duties, your War Zones out there with all these great examples of how to do games as a service properly, especially on the multiplayer side, right? We're not even talking about the expansions they can do for the campaign itself, which we've gone and talked about before. That's exciting. But the multiplayer, which is Halo's bread and butter, right? We know that. Yes, the campaign is a major portion of it. Yes, there are people out there who only play the campaign that were disappointed that co-op wasn't there, but we can get through that. No problem. The multiplayer is set up. They've got all these examples of how to do things right? Staten is back, seemingly in control. They're being open about things, transparent with where they're going, all this stuff. It was all hands on deck to get this launch, and it came out really well. Yeah. A lot of excitement. And then we say, okay, all right, seasons. What are you guys going to do for the seasons? And then they started stumbling again. Right? Couldn't get up to full sprint. They started stumbling again. That's okay. There was a lot going for Halo Infinite, and the community. Yes, there was still division within the community. Again, it's never going to change no matter what they do. So it is what it is. But it's, you know, again, it's okay. Joseph Staten's got things running. We're going to be okay. Okay. Oh, wait, they're delaying season, or they're pushing season 1 for 6 months. Ooh, boy. Okay. All right. They're delaying season 2 till May. Oh, okay. Man, those armors are overpriced. Okay. Well, no, they hear us. They're going to fix this, right? They're going to fix it. They did. They came out. They changed it, right? They changed it. Okay. All right, cool. Back on track again. All right. We'll get through this 6 months. No problem. Season 2 is going to be when they really come out. We're going to get a roadmap. They're going to start hitting.
Oh, we got a roadmap. All right.
Yeah, we got a roadmap. All right. Oh, wait. Co-op isn't going to come out at the beginning of season 2. Oh, that's got pushed back. It's going to be sometime during season 2. Oh, Forge is pushed back now even further. Oh, okay. Oh, this is bad news, right? No problem. We're gonna get some new maps. Oh, we're only getting two maps, one arena, one big team battle. Bro, it's these little stumbles that continue to happen. It's okay to have growing pains. It's okay. 343, again, it was all hands on deck. Xbox even pulled from other teams like Turn 10, like Coalition, to work on Halo Infinite to make sure it got out. It's okay if you're going to come out with a game that's going to be around for what you say 10 years, that you come out and you have a couple stumbles, but then you come out with season 2, which everybody's expecting. You launch this great teaser trailer, which gets, again, what I saw, overwhelmingly positive from the Halo community.
Mm-hmm.
Excited again. This is looking fantastic, right? Can't wait to hop back in. I saw so many people. I'm ready. Looks like I'm going to be back in, full-time Halo. I saw Ains out there. Looks like, oh, no, I'm spending my summer. And then you come out with the full kind of, review with all the kind of the bullet points as to what season 2 is going to entail. And in that release, for the 100th time, you talk about team health. Okay.
Yeah.
As one of your lead offs, right? Okay. Again, no horse in this game or in this race. But to me, from the outside looking in, again, of course, team health is important. We've taught, again, crunches, whatever. It's rampant across this industry. We understand that the team health has to be a priority.
Right.
So I get why you say it, but this is like the 100th time they've said that. Like, you said that after launch as to why you weren't going to have a roadmap ready for the Halo fans, why you were pushing some things back, is because launch, getting it out the door was such a great strain and stress on the team. You had to, make sure that they were taken care of. Everybody was going to take a break for a while. All that stuff came out, right? Now you're talking about 6 months later and you're still talking about team health. Look, if team health is a real problem at 343, then that speaks to some bigger issues internally, some organizational issues that maybe started during the whole development process that are still knotted up right now, that have not been undone. Because if team health 6 months later is still something that you are concerned about, that's causing you to push back things, well, then that does lead to some structural issues within internally as to what's going on there. So that's one point. The second point is, if team health, to me, is being used as a shield to deflect some of the criticism, well, that's also another problem, because you don't want to start putting that out there as an issue if it's not a reality, and you're trying to use that to deflect from some real criticism here. So I have some issues with that. Number two, to come out and say that it's going to be another 6 month season, to me, that's unacceptable at this point. Like, at this point, you should have things on track, right? You should have things that are in place that are going to ramp up the content. If you're going to come out initially and say there's only 2 maps, okay, cool. Could there be more in season 2 because it is 6 months? Sure, it could be. But give the fans that hope, because right now, with what you said in that release, fans should not be expecting any more maps throughout season 2 at all. If they come, it'll be a fantastic addition for sure, but they should not be expecting them. And 2 maps for an entire season at this point is not good. Okay. Again, it's just not good. It's not going to keep people engaged in that game for very long. Now, there are some new modes being dropped. There's 4 new modes. Obviously, Last Spartan Standing could take off. It could be huge. Last Spartan Standing could be the mode that kind of takes over. We've seen that happen in other games. Little modes all of a sudden turn into big modes, right? So Last Spartan Standing could be the one. We don't know. It could be the one. And I hope for 343 that one of these modes does hit right.
Right.
I just think that they're putting themselves in a very precarious position. They're going to be given, they've already been given a lot of grace. Mm-hmm. We talk about it, Steel, all the time. Like, Halo has more expectations on it than most 100%. Games ever will. 100%. Okay. Some of them very unfairly because of what Halo is.
Yeah.
Okay. But also, Halo does get more grace as a game because it's Halo. That's why I say all the people running around saying Halo's dead, doom and gloom. Bro, come on, man. This is Halo. Halo's going to be here past the point I die. Okay. Halo's going to be around forever. Halo is now a mainstay in the gaming industry. The fans are going to come back. But Halo Infinite wasn't just supposed to be about the Halo fans, Steel. Halo was set up when they went to the free-to-play games as a service model. Yeah. Was set up to capture more casual people to come into Halo as well. And if you don't have that content, if you don't have that word of mouth spreading beyond the community, beyond the regular Halo fans with streaming and all that kind of stuff, you're not going to pull those people.
No, right back.
And that doesn't fit the model that you set up. Otherwise, you would have just done a regular old Halo release like you used to. You went a different route. So that means you have to be accountable for putting out content on a regular basis to keep people interested and to keep people coming back for more and more and more, not just on a season. Again, this goes back to the subscription talk again that we had. You don't want people, the goal of Halo Infinite, even if it's okay and it works to some degree because it's such a big franchise, the goal of Halo Infinite wasn't to have people jump in, jump out, come back for season 2, jump back in. That's not the goal that 343 had internally, because that's not how you get a sustainable revenue stream in Flux, right? That's not how that works out. You want people continuously playing Halo like one of their staple games that's in their rotation, if not their main game that's in their rotation. That's how you get that revenue stream going. So this setup right now, as it stands, is not going to work for that. The Forge beta, like you spoke on, that's huge disappointing, because we talked about that too, Steel. Forge is a huge part of Halo. Forge in itself can be something that when it's given to the community and you get all these massively creative people that are just gamers, but they're massively creative, and you give them the tools that they understand on a game that they are absolutely in love with, you will get some great freaking ridiculous content out of Forge that can plug holes for some of what your own team is missing. We have seen this all over the place. There's examples throughout gaming history, including Halo itself. So Forge going into beta late, not even being the full release, again, another missed opportunity from my point. And this all leads up, Steel, to certain affinity. And you spoke on this. And I believe that what you're saying is correct. It's obvious that Phil and everybody kind of saw what was coming with 343 and this launch of Halo Infinite. To me, I believe that's why they went and talked to certain affinity 2 years ago. Jez is estimating there when this started, because it was obvious, I think, to people internally that they weren't going to be able to take on a big project like creating a Warzone like battle royale. And I'm telling you right now, they now envision the certain affinity mode like Warzone. Like you said, Steel, it's going to be separate. It's going to be connected, but it's going to be separate from the main game. It's something that could live on outside, just like you have Call of Duty and then you got Warzone. I think this mode is really what they envisioned that to be. Yeah. And I think that that's what they did. They went to certain affinity knowing that 343 could not handle taking on that big of a project with the way things are right now, and said, hey, look, you guys want to do something like this? Knowing full well that certain affinity has a lot of experience in multiplayer games and knows how to do this. In certain affinity, obviously, take it on. Of course. Why wouldn't you want to work on something like that? So now the focus is going to be on certain affinity. And I said this last night in Xbox Ultimate. They need to talk about that mode ASAP. Okay. They need to get out in front of this, whether it's ready to be shown. It's got to be ready to be shown, because you want it to show well. You want it to bring some excitement and some light at the end of the tunnel.
So it has to be somewhere close to ready.
It has to be somewhat, but you got to show that during E3, the showcase.
Oh, 100%.
Right? You got to show that off and give us a date of when that is going to drop, because that will excite a lot of people in the lead up to that and kind of carry people into season 2 and throughout that 6-month period, knowing they have something like that to look forward to. And again, it's not going to be for everybody. So again, there's going to be a lot of Halo fans saying, I don't want anything to do with that. Stop showing me. I don't care about this. Look, a lot of people said that about Warzone too when it came out. And guess what happened? It became more popular in a lot of ways than the mainstay Call of Duty multiplayer.
No, 100% it is. No, 100% it is.
Again, as an old guy who doesn't like battle royales, who has no interest in it,
Warzone's good.
Yeah, I can still admit that there is something to those models, right? That they are successful if you do them right. So I think they need to show certain affinity stuff, let people know, hey, look, we know 6 months isn't what you guys are looking for, but you do have something to look forward to at the end of the 6 months or into season 3. Certain affinities can be dropped in this whole separate mode. it's going to be a big deal, right? They need to pump it.
I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, I mean, I think that, I mean, going into season 3, releasing it would be dope, but I think, it would be even better if you've been working on this. And again, it's a game mode. You're not making a whole game. You're making it just a mode. So if you've been working on it, as long as you've been working on it, it's just your studio, your entire studio has been working on it. I would love for them to come out on E3.
Yeah.
Or at the Xbox showcase and say, hey, next month, this is releasing.
Yeah,
so boom,
and that would be best case scenario.
Right there, you have that 3 months. I mean, yeah, you got a 6-month season or whatever, but after 3 months, boom, this whole new mode. Now you got all this life that you're bringing into it. Now, like, whatchamacallit, only on Xbox. Was it only on Xbox? It was somebody else. I don't think it was only. Man, sorry if I misquote whoever it was, but somebody brought up the whole drop pods thing, and where they were doing drop pods, because that's another form of content that they said they are dropping. They could be big, they could be small. You don't know what content is going to come in there. So the fact that they're also going to do that, if they somehow able to get certain affinity on board also, and that game mode gets released, boom, along with the drop pods, you got everything you need for the second season to hold people over. And you've made up that ground, right? Now you can't necessarily be, of course, people are gonna find a way to be upset regardless, but people have less to kind of complain about, because you can't say, oh, season 2 doesn't have any content in it really, when you've gotten a slew of content, along with the new game mode going into season 3. Co-op's hitting now, Forge is hitting now, because whether Forge is in beta or not, they're not going to release something to the community that's not working. You're still going to be able to build out your game modes or whatever the case. It just might be lacking some of the features that they are anticipating for Forge, right? It might just be a basic ass Forge, right? Instead of the more complex one that they're wanting to input. That could be very well a possibility, so we don't know. There's so many things that could go into here. Again, I still think when we're going to the year anniversary for Halo, I still think it's going to end up being a completely different game than it was when we got it on release last year. So
and that's possible, and that's best case scenario. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, Steele. If certain affinities ready to rock and roll it out. And the last thing I will say is with the Forge beta, Steele. What I would do is, if I were in those shoes, because we know they've already been testing Forge with certain community creators, some of the hardcore, right? They've had it out there testing it. As it gets closer to that beta launch within season 2, I would invite some of the well-known Forge creators out there that you haven't already had in. I would invite them in and give them as much of the tool set as possible, and have them go to work for you. That's a whole nother conversation too, about there's a lot of people who disagree with,
but that's companies do the same thing. But
right. Other companies do it, but I'm just saying there's been a lot of discourse about whether or not they should ever use not compensate community creators who do create things. Okay, look, that's a whole nother thing, but give them credit. I don't care. Give them credit, put them in the credits, whatever you need to do, but have that community come in and see, even if the tool set isn't at full strength yet, even if it's not ready, let them create some things and see if one of those or a couple of those community members all of a sudden come up with a map that is good enough to launch into season 2 and call it a special, whatever creator playlist, right? And launch it and get it out there. Again, just fill some holes with some content and see what you get out of it, and see if you do hit on something. That's what I would do personally, because I think that would be a big boon. And like you said, Steele, it's all about just making people get through that 6 months without constantly thinking to themselves, oh man, I got another 3 months of this same stuff again. Oh man, I'm going to hop out of here. I'm going to go do something else.
What's crazy?
That fatigue.
What's crazy, and I don't mean to interrupt you, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Because I'm just sitting here racking my mind about it, because the other thing that's crazy too is I never had any of those feelings while I was playing Halo. Like the entire time that I was playing, leveling up the battle pass, I never felt that way. And I mean, that is another thing that is missing, is that whole progression system. As much as people say, that whole argument of, oh, we didn't play games for progression. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we're in a day and age, we've been trained that we need to feel like we're progressing. And
for how long is that battle pass going to last, Steele? For season 2, like a month, 2 months before people start maxing already?
people complained about how fast we were getting progression. I completed the battle pass in less than 2 months.
Right.
And I wasn't even playing as hard as other people were.
Right.
Other people were doing it much faster than that. So it's like, so now it's like when you think about it, were they off track? Or like, were they off base saying that,
had it been a 3-month season, that'd be okay, right? If the hardcore finish in a month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah.
That's what happens in Call of Duty too, right? That's what happens. That's okay if your hardcore finish that fast. But again, even if the battle pass for, let's say, not the everyday players, but the regular players still only winds up lasting 3 months, and then you got 3 months of nothing again for those people. That's where you run into that fatigue and that problem. Because a lot of people, like you said, Steel, as much as people say, I don't play for progression, we never had progression in the old Halos. Look, it's a part of this day and age. You kind of expect that progression and those rewards as you go through a game like this.
Right.
So yeah, mindset is going to set in like, hey, what else do I have to play for? Right. That's kind of what winds up happening psychologically.
Exactly. It's the same thing in Call of Duty and everything else. But hey, again, it is a missed opportunity again. I'm always going to say that, and I'm still going to stay on the line. I am happy with Halo, and I do enjoy playing it. But again, I can't disagree with people when they say it is lacking content. You want people to stay invested. I can't argue with that. But don't bring Steam numbers to me, because I just played Halo the other day and I was able to find a match in less than a minute. Easily. Full lobby. Rank. It didn't matter what playlist I was in. People.
Yeah. Different
people every game too. I played at least 5 games. I've been doing that here recently where I've been trying to jump back on Halo, get back into the swing of things, and I've run 5 games in quick every time, less than a minute.
Yeah.
So the game is alive and it's doing really well. But got to keep people enticed, man. And again, if you go back to MCC, I'm one of those Halo players who can't go back to MCC. I don't go back to the older titles. I just don't. When I play the older Halos, it makes me feel like, damn, I remember why I like playing the newer games. Right. Because things evolve, things get better. You know what I mean? Like when we did the tournament and we were playing Halo 1, 2, 3, it's just like, I don't really care for those. I played those at the time. I have memories with those. To play them again now because they have a little skin on them and they look a little better, this doesn't do the same thing for me.
Steel, you're just not a nostalgia guy.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm not.
You're not.
Maybe
you haven't gotten old enough yet. Wait until you hit your 40s.
No,
then you'll start looking back.
Even then, I'm still gonna be like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. Like the only thing I could do that with is Sonic, and even that, like I'm excited for this new Sonic Origins thing that they're putting out. But it's like, damn, I played the shit out of those games. Like, do I really want to invest again?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I get it. With some games, I'm like that. So,
but I mean, that's just me. I mean, but it's also how I can come up as a gamer, and it's just like my expectations and everything else. And I know everything is different. I'm definitely going to, I mean, that's one of the things that I do love about being able to record my gameplay, because I'm now thinking of ways to where I need to come up with a storage solution, because I don't want to lose the recordings that I've made up to this point. Because I want to be able, 10 years down the line, come back and maybe sit for an hour or two and watch it like it's a movie. You know what I mean? Like, oh, damn. Like, I remember when I went through this and play a video of Mass Effect 1. Damn, I remember when I did that. Mass Effect 2. Damn, I remember when I did. Even though it's only 2-hour gameplay spurts or whatever the case, it's like you're going back and experiencing that, and it's my gameplay. So it's like, I'm building up that collection, that gallery. It's like pictures for that, what pictures used to be for people back in the day, where you had binders and binders of pictures, where now everything is digital, so you have it on file. But it's the same thing that I'm kind of doing with gaming now. Instead of me going back to play the games, I have videos and content of me playing those, and I can just go back and experience and watch it again. I think that's going to be a really amazing thing. But speaking of Sega,
yeah,
and talking about Sonic and everything.
Segue.
I think that was going to be a good Sega to jump. A good segue. Hey, again,
Segaway.
It's on the Segaway. It's on the mind. But I think this would be a perfect way to introduce the title of the show, right?
Yeah, we gotta knock this one out here and get everybody out of here so they can watch CIS 2022.
That's 100% a fact.
But yeah, no, the Sega stuff is very, very interesting, Steel, to say the least. And hey, breaking news while we were on the show, too,
really?
Steel,
Okay.
real quick. Yo, we heard we got the little leak this week from Tom Henderson and the new game from Ubisoft. Well, Ubisoft decided, because the cat was out of the bag per se, to announce that yes, Project Q, that's what they're calling it right now, is coming, and it is currently in testing. So another team battle arena shooter from Ubisoft.
Okay.
And real quick, Steel, I know this is going to get everybody excited. So they said, this is their tweet. So we heard introducing codename Project Q, a team battle arena, this is the key part right here, Steel. Now listen to this, and we all know what this means. A team battle arena, letting players truly own the experience. The game is in early development. We will keep testing. So for now, all you can do is register for upcoming tests. And then, of course, they got the registration link. Letting players truly own the experience, Steel, AKA NFT.
Hold on, but Paul, in the comments they say, by the way, this is not a battle royale. The game will feature a variety of PvP modes with one single goal in mind: fun. Then they also go on to say, we don't have plans to add NFTs to this game. You can find out more by registering and taking part in the upcoming tests.
That's called bait and switch, people. It's called bait and switch. Bait and switch. Watch when it comes out. Why else would you say players truly own the experience?
Maybe because you'll be able to buy a skin. You know what I'm saying? And it'll be yours.
But that would be with they could say with great customization, because we all know what that means.
No, you gotta say it a little bit differently. You gotta really own it. You know, you're gonna be able to color it, Pong. It's gonna be your color. It's gonna be whatever we sold you, but then you'll be able to change the color.
All right, Ubisoft. Well, I'm watching you. I'm gonna hold you to that comment, but I can tell you right now, the bait and switch is coming. After our testing was done, we found that players really wanted to own their custom skins. And so we've introduced a new system. They're going to call it a new system. They'll come up with some different name from NFT. Watch.
Okay.
Watch. It'll be the Ubisoft NFT, whatever they're going to call it. The UBT. Look, we call
He said the UBT.
UBT. The UBT. We're going to let you own your custom skins with the UBT.
I was going to say
it's
UB
not
or
NFTs.
something like that.
It's not NFTs,
UBT. It's not NFTs, it's UBTs. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I put it up on the screen for you guys where you get to see that Ubisoft. All right, Ubi, we'll see. Got a lot to prove. But as far as
thank
Sega
you,
goes,
Fuzzy. How do you say NFT without saying NFT? Exactly.
Yeah, UBT, that's how you say it.
UBT.
Oh, God, that's funny. Y'all look at them. All right, so for Sega. Sega announced some things this week that I thought was interesting, but we'll talk a little bit about it. I am going to pull up an article from Bloomberg that goes into Sega reboots Crazy Taxi Jet Set Radio to chase Fortnite riches. Now, this is going to be one angle of it. Pong, I feel like you might have some things to add on off of this, but I'm going to introduce this article to kind of bring this in. Because Sega has been seemingly trying to do some things, man. Again, their number one mascot, Sonic, seems to be bringing that attention that they are wanting and have been yearning for a very long time. It only took them creating the most ugliest design for Sonic that has ever been created to seemingly wake up the fan base in the ecosystem for Sonic and really bring that IP back to life. Because once you saw the outcries for that original movie design, and again, you guys can definitely look into that. And then you see what you got today, these recent Sonic movies, and they're actually doing really well. Surprisingly, well, I say surprisingly, but also, if you guys didn't know, a lot of the creators that for the shows and everything who have created the stories for Sonic and everything are actually involved in the movies also. So I'm imagining that's why the movies have had the success that they've had, because there's seemingly somebody who understands that Sonic has a cohesive story and is actually using it. Spoiler alert for those who don't know, If you haven't seen Sonic the Movie 2, they've introduced Shadow. Again, it's no secret. He's part of the storyline or whatever the case may be. That happens at the very end of the movie, whatever the case may be. It's like a after credit scene, kind of like what they do with the Marvel. But that to me shows me that that not only Sega, but the people behind the scenes understand the importance of the IP. With that being said, Sega is seemingly going back to some of its older IP. I don't know if Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio are going to be the ones to kind of come back out and be like, yeah, Crazy Taxi for $19.99. You can buy this new skin and you can race around the city and get the people to the objectives on time, and get all the stars. And I don't know how they're going to end up like recreating that to make it more appealing. Because yes, it was fun back in the day when that's what we had, but how do you revitalize Crazy Taxi today? The same thing with Jet Set. Jet Set's a little bit more predictable with how they can take that and go about it that route, but it's still kind of, how do you revamp those things? But anyway, so Bloomberg goes into this article, and this article was created by Takashi Mochizuki. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, but Sega Sammy Holdings is developing big budget reboots of its Dreamcast games, Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio, as it taps back into its catalog in search of global hits like Epic Games' Fortnite. Okay, now one thing, Fortnite wasn't a hit until PUBG came out, so let's just, I understand, like, people always go, like, oh, look at Fortnite, it's doing so great. Fortnite wouldn't be what it is without PUBG, but yes, Fortnite has done great with taking advantage of using other popular IPs and putting it in its own game. But anyway, and this is according to people that are familiar with its plans. The two titles will be the first entries in Sega's Super Game Initiative. Remember us talking about that a little bit before, which the company announced a year ago as an effort to develop recurring revenue sources and build online communities around its software portfolio. Let me actually bring this up for you guys so you guys can see what the article that I'm pulling from. So portfolio, Fortnite has become the role model for such games, free to play, as it's available across platforms, hosts large multiplayer contests, and includes extras like vehicles, construction, and social events on top of the usual combat, during player purchases of in-game items. The new Crazy Taxi has already been in development for over a year, and the Tokyo-based entertainment group aims to release it within 2 to 3 years. People said asking not to be named as an information is not yet public. It was named alongside Jet Set Radio in Sega's annual report a year ago on a list of intellectual property assets that Sega wanted to recapitalize by bringing them up to date. Both new games are in early stages of creation and could still be canceled, the people said. A Sega spokesman said that the company has no comment to make at this present time. The Super Game project is led by Sega's video game unit chief Shuji Atsumi, a former PlayStation executive. Ooh. It currently includes plans for about 4 such titles, and according to the people. The company said last year that its European studio was working on a first-person shooter, Super Game, and the plan was to offer content and services that can create a larger community. Okay. And as much as 100 billion yen in lifetime revenue, $780 million. Those who don't know. Sega's online role-playing game, Phantasy Star Online 2, fits the criteria for a global multiplayer hit, but it also so far failed to start up a thriving market with its in-game purchasing offering. The Japanese company plans to address this aspect of monetization more aggressively with its upcoming titles. Pong. With this, and they go on and on in this article talking about what their plans are and everything else and what they've heard. Pong, what does this tell you about Sega, man? Does Jet Set Radio and freaking Crazy Taxi, is it going to do it for you? Can they add NFTs and create customizations? They're going to want to make you invest in Sega the way that you've never had before, or do they just need to buckle it up and make sure that Sonic Frontiers is the fucking greatest game that they've released within the last 30 years? What do you think needs to happen? What are you expecting out of this? Does this spell the return of Sega?
Yeah, I think Sega's on the right path, minus the NFT garbage, but they'll learn their lessons real quick with the NFT stuff. Again, I hold reserve my judgment on NFTs because I do believe there's potential that somebody comes up with a great idea, but as they stand in their infancy, I think they're dumb as all get out, and I don't want them in video games. Okay, so period. But I reserve my judgment because, again, I've said, in the past, I've read about things that I thought were dumb or stupid ideas, and they turned out to be really good ideas, right? So again, NFTs aside, love what Sega's doing. I think Sega is finally kind of got their feet underneath them, so to speak, and they're starting to get that Sonic speed back again.
Right.
And I think that they see the way forward, which I think for a long time Sega was kind of lost and floundering, but I think they see a way forward. Again, I make no qualms about it. I don't mind free-to-play games. I don't mind the free-to-play model. I actually, in fact, in a lot of instances, enjoy it because it gives me the opportunity to try the game, play the game, and invest as much money as I want to into that game if I'm having a good time. So for me, free-to-plays are a gift in a lot of ways. I understand why people don't like them. I understand why people have problems with them because they come out sometimes incomplete and the developer uses the excuse that it's free to play and they're going to build upon it. But look, we've gotten some really great stuff, even with all of that happening. So again, I'm cool with this.
Right.
If Sega finds that this is the way forward, so be it. And for them to be finally bringing back some of that old IP that I absolutely have nostalgia for, that I absolutely love, two of them being Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio, I'm all about it. Okay. If you're going to make this free to play, if you're going to make this multiplayer, again, why they use the Fortnite description, it's like the go-to. It's like saying everything is Souls-like. Okay. It's just the go-to example model because it's the most successful of that model type. I mean, Epic is great at printing money. Okay.
Yeah.
Like Grand Theft Auto Online is printing money for 2K. Fortnite prints money for Epic. Okay. Period. Point blank. So I'm cool with it. That's fine. Bring me back my Jet Set Radio. As long as you've got the basic mechanics and ideas behind the original game still in there and you're not trying to turn it into something else, I'm cool, right? So do it. I think Sega is onto something. I think the success, like you said, Steel, of the Sonic movies has given them a lot of confidence going into this generation. And then they are partnering up with Xbox with this super fantastic, awesome, amazing, stellar game creation thing that they want to do in the cloud. Awesome. Great. Xbox is going to help them with that vision. And obviously, I have full trust in what Xbox is doing over there with the cloud and the people that they have in place, like Sarah Bond, who are at the front lines of this. I have complete, utmost faith of those within those people. And I think that Sega could really find some really gems here. And again, if they do them right, again, nothing's set in stone. Like the article says, these could still be canceled, right? So they could have these great ideas, but they start to put them together and it falls apart. It doesn't work. But I think with those two franchises, if you look at those games, the way those games played, I could see a scenario where they turn those games into these free-to-play multiplayer online games very easily, right? You're in these big cities, Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio, doing things that you could be doing or competing against other people doing, like tagging in Jet Set Radio, right? Skating around, scoring points, like all of that could be something you could easily turn into a bigger game. Crazy Taxi, same thing, running around, racing against time to pick up people, to drop off people at locations with these crazy jumps and all this stuff going on in the city. Bro, yeah, that could be a multiplayer game for sure, right? You could totally see how this could go. So I think that this is the start of Sega's return. It will begin, though, Steel. We will see what they do with Sonic, right? You and I both are excited for this new Sonic game.
Yeah.
Bringing that open level aspect. I'm not going to call it open world because it's still going to have it's going to have its different areas, right? Just like all the Sonic games did. They kind of said that. But to have Sonic finally, much like Sonic Adventure, because I'm a big Sonic Adventure fan, right?
Man.
Having Sonic in open area, doing his thing across the screen with current gen graphics, but I'm not going to say it's going to be like the greatest thing ever. But what I'm saying is bringing him up to date and what you can do with that and how beautiful it could look in that setting. Yeah, man, absolutely. But they do have to knock it out of the park because unfortunately, Sonic the games have been hit or miss, more often miss with the fans. So it's time. They got to make sure they lock this one down and make sure that it comes out in its best form out the gates. So I cannot wait. Absolutely cannot wait to see what they do with Sonic. And then, of course, their old IP. It's been that this old IP has been sitting there wasting away. And you know my feelings on this, Steel.
Right.
Again, love new IP. Again, I will say that because everybody always jumps in right away when you say remasters and all that. Oh, but we just want new IP. I'm so done with playing the old games. Look, if you're taking old IP and reimagining it and bringing it to the current gen and allowing not only the old fans like me to go back and experience that nostalgia, but also bringing new fans that may have just heard about these games, may have never touched them because they don't want to go back and play a Sega Genesis game,
right? Because
they don't want that old style, but introducing new fans to those IPs, there's a reason why those IPs are still talked about today.
100%.
And letting them collect dust and not trying, at least trying to bring them back again and give us that new experience, that's a waste to me. So I'm all for this. And again, what better time than now, Steel? If Sega's going to make a return to semi-glory, right? If Sega's going to make a run at this, what better time than now in the golden age of gaming where more people are playing than ever before, more resources are being pumped in, you've got partnerships that you can make with people like Xbox and Microsoft to help those dreams become a reality. What better time than now, man? Do it. Go for it. Again, if it fails, what's it going to hurt Sega at this point? Sega was down and out, right? They couldn't come back. They couldn't seem to get themselves off the ground again, you know, except for their PC side of things, right? And Atlas, right? Atlas was doing good things.
Yeah.
But Sega, the main Sega teams, bro, they've been like meh. It's been like whatever. Like, okay, great. If Sega could come back now, golden age of gaming, then maybe we start getting some new IP out of Sega again, just like we've seen now with Capcom. Capcom is the perfect example. They were in the same boat as Sega. All of a sudden, they hit on those remakes of Resident Evil. All of a sudden, Resident Evil comes back to life. They change the formula once again with Resident Evil, right? Bring it up to date, start giving us really awesome new stories within that world. And all of a sudden, the whole fortune of that company turns around. Now, guess what? We're getting crazy Capcom new IP like that. I forget what the full name, that sci-fi dinosaur one that they just showed off at the last Sony. I forget what the name of that game is. But that's the stuff that we used to get out of Capcom that turned into classic IPs like Power Stone. Power Stone was a crazy idea with some of the wackiest characters out there. It's beloved to this day by people like me. And I'm hoping they're going to go back to that. But that's what happens when you start getting confidence and you turn things around. So Sega can take this, work on it, make it right, get Sonic games back to where they belong in the mainstream, along with their movies, which they've already done now. They're capitalizing on it. But if they can do all those things, continue to build upon this confidence. They have the PC side of things with Total War and that kind of stuff. They've got Atlas putting out freaking fantastic JRPs. They just need to come to Xbox now. If they can do that and build, all of a sudden now Sega could return. All of a sudden you could start seeing new, fresh IP out of Sega that we didn't think we were going to get just a few years ago. Man, things are looking rosy. Again, I'm a Sega. If I'm a fanboy of anything, it's Sega. If Sega turned around tomorrow and said, look, we're going to launch a new console, current gen console. We're coming back into the console market. Look, I'd be out here in the console wars, baby. It would be Sega all day long, baby. I'd have my own channel. And I'd be going after Xbox. I'd be going after PlayStation, and I'd be going after Nintendo.
You're all dead.
It'd be Sega all day long, baby. So look, I love Sega. I want to see them do this, man. I'm excited, Steel, to say the least. That they're at least sharing these ideas. Again, whether they work or not doesn't matter to me. The fact that Sega's trying something after all these years, That's what gets me excited. Go Sega. Let's do this, man. I'll be there to support you guys day one. Let's get this done.
100%. Yeah, Bean brings up a good one. Crazy Taxi can be a big streaming game, and Jet Set would be huge with futuristic soundtrack like ASAP Rocky and Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah, I mean 100%. Crazy Taxi could be a huge mobile game if they implemented it right or whatever the case might be. There is a lot of different things that they could do that would have a lot of potential, especially as cloud gaming becomes more prevalent. Again, you know, that's something that they're interested in. You know that they are teaming up with Xbox on some things in the background that we haven't got anything on. So there's many different ways that things could go, and I'm definitely interested in seeing Sega make a comeback again. Seeing Sonic just come back to the main stage again. I know a lot of people don't like hearing it. I don't like hearing about Mario like that. So hey, if you guys are going to continue to talk about Mario's going to continue to be relevant. Guess what? I'm going to continue to talk about Sonic because he's just as relevant to me personally, and a much better and cooler character.
I hope Lupa's not listening right now. Hey, thanks, Dragonheart. Yo B, thank you. Exo Primal, yeah, is the name of that game. Absolutely, yeah. But
Nick, I'm with you 1000%. Lost Planet was so far ahead of its fucking time, bro. I feel like they missed out on an opportunity. They need to remake Lost Planet, release it on like, I guess, a Game Pass or something, so we can get some people in there, because it's going to be hard to bring people back into just Lost Planet itself, because it just didn't end well. With the multiplayer and everything, revamp everything. Lost Planet's multiplayer was really fun, bro. The game itself was really dope. But that multiplayer, oh my god!
That multiplayer playing against the guys in the East, because people forget I was there from day one on Lost Planet. Lost Planet multiplayer was huge over in Japan, bro. Like, you go into a lobby, it was all Japanese, because that was the early days of the internet, and like, yeah, the pings weren't great and all that, but we didn't care.
No.
But the sniping in Lost Planet. Talk about on console, like, this is normal for PC. Like, PC guys who snipe, they see a pixel move and it's like dead. You're dead, right? They get headshots like crazy with keyboard and mouse, right? That's the whole thing. That doesn't happen very often on console, but on Lost Planet on console, like with the environments that they had, the snow environments and stuff, you could pick up that pixel movement if you had a big enough screen back in the day. And bro, you were headshotting people from a mile away. It was so much fun. Oh my god, I love that.
The gameplay, the mechanics, the bots, the mechs that you could have, the grapple.
Current gen. Bro. Can you imagine what that looked like current gen, bro?
Oh my god.
It's so good.
That game would be absolutely perfect. I need it back. I definitely need it back. That's one I'm really surprised that they, especially today's current day and age, like, if you really wanted to do a free-to-play model, Lost Planet would be the perfect example. There's so much customization and options and things that you can add in there.
So much now.
Bro, oh my god. Hey, $1 billion idea. Hey, hit us up. We got it. Hey, and hit up Nick's too. I gotta pay him on the back end. 100%. But yeah, I feel like that was a beautiful conversation. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is going to be a perfect way to wrap up today's show. We're now going to get into this day in gaming, because again, gaming is art, should be treated as such, or as Pong has coined it, the make him feel old segment.
Get off my lawn, you damn kids. That's basically what this is right now.
Oh god. Even though we know that's not what it's for. Again, gaming is art, should be treated as such. We're going back. Again, I like to typically go back about 30 years with gaming history, gaming releases and things like that. So without further ado, let's get into this day in gaming. All right. So we're starting off in 1993. What are you doing in 1993?
Good year. The year I graduated, brother.
You were having a real good time.
I was graduating. Oh, hell yeah.
You had a real good time.
Better believe it. You better believe it. Went on my senior trip to Mexico.
Yeah, you had a good time.
God, that was good stuff.
Yeah, you had a good time. 93, yeah, you definitely had some good times there. Glad to see you're still here with us.
I'm lucky. I am damn lucky I'm still here.
Hey,
I will admit that.
I'm just saying.
My 20s were even, I'm damn lucky I'm here. Yeah.
You said some of the stories. But 1993, NES released Disney's DuckTales 2 in Japan. Hey, DuckTales was actually a really good game.
DuckTales was really good. That was a good cartoon.
No, that was an excellent cartoon. 100%.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Then an NES released Konyo Kun no Neketsu Soccer League in Japan. Okay, nice.
Oh, okay. Soccer.
Then Turbo CD released Lords of Thunder in Japan.
Oh,
Turbo
good game. I
CD.
believe.
Wow.
Lords of Thunder, was that not on Neo Geo too? I believe it was. I think it was a Geo arcade.
I wonder if it'll tell us in there.
I think it was, man. God, man.
Yeah, no, it doesn't say.
Lords of Thunder. I'll look it up while you keep talking.
100%.
But oh, man, just great. Keep going.
Then Super Nintendo in 1993 released the 7th Saga in Japan. Then in 1998, the Saturn released Super Robot Tyson F Kenketsushin Suhin in Japan.
Oh my God. It's amazing.
There goes that. Then in 2001, PlayStation 2 released Rumble Racing. That sounds really familiar. Then it's
nope. Lords of Thunder was not on Neo Geo by the looks of it, but it did where I knew it from. There's another one that I'm thinking of that was on Neo Geo, and I got to remember. But anyways, it was on Sega CD. However, that's where I would have played it back in the day, and that's what clicked in my brain.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Then in 2004, the Game Boy Advance released Mega Man 03 in Japan. In 2009, Xbox 360 released Death Smiles in Japan. This is a game that I saw somebody post here recently. 2010, Xbox 360 released Dead to Rights Retribution. What a great
So amazing.
Game.
Oh, Dead to Rights needs to come back too. Fuck.
Then in 2013, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 released a Dead Island Riptide. That was actually a solid game.
Shout out to Victor Click, who also graduated in 93 from kindergarten. Oh my God. Freaking kids. Get off my damn lawn, Vic.
That's fucking funny. Then in 2013, PC released Don't Starve. Okay. And that's
Don't Starve is very good. Yes.
All right. I'm not
survival game. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
That was studio. God damn it, I forgot. Continue. Go.
Let's see. Don't Starve was by Clay Entertainment.
Yeah. Clay Entertainment. It's a great game. It's a survival game. It's really cool. I like it. Yep.
Then PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 released Dragon's Dogma Dark Horizon.
Amazing game, and we got rumors that Dragon's Dogma 2 is in development at Capcom. Bro, one of the most underappreciated, underrated RPGs out there by far. It's amazing. Such a great game.
Yeah, they definitely need to bring it back.
Yeah.
Especially in today's day. Oh God.
Yeah. Oh my God.
2014, PlayStation 3 released Yu-Gi-Oh! Millennium Duels. That was actually a really good game. Then in 2015, PlayStation 3 released BlazBlue Chrono Phantasma Extend.
Amazing fighting
in
series.
Japan. Yes, love BlazBlue.
Animations are off the charts. Love it.
On point. Then in 2015, the 3DS released Bravely Second End Lair in Japan.
Oh, another great RPG series. Bravely.
Then
Bravely Default.
Oh, what is it?
Yeah, Bravely Default.
Nice.
That's the second one to that. Yep.
Excellent. Then the PlayStation 4 released Mega Dimension Neptunia 7 in Japan.
Neptunia.
Okay.
So great. Yeah, good stuff. It is good stuff.
Then the 3DS released Moko Moko Friends in Japan.
Mocha.
Interesting. Then PlayStation 4 released Tropico 5 in Japan.
I love Tropical series too.
Tropico's, yeah, it's decent.
Yeah.
Then in 2019, Nintendo Switch released Dragon's Dogma Dark Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
And then PlayStation 4 and Xbox One released, I think it's the best selling Mortal Kombat to date, actually. Mortal Kombat 11. Shout out to Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat's been doing it for a long time, man. Shout out to them. Mortal Kombat 11 is definitely a excellent Mortal Kombat game.
I like the single player campaign.
Yeah, I did too.
I'm not gonna lie.
I did too.
And I like how they added it with the kind of exploration world and all the stuff you can earn.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Ed Boon and his team got it going on.
Yeah, they know.
That was hey, by the way, that was Speculation Town last night. Mav threw that out for the showcase that we get the new Killer Instinct at the showcase this year announced, and I said, wouldn't that be freaking mind blowing if it's Ed Boon that announces it?
That would be insanity. That would blow the internet up. Yeah.
MK versus KI.
Yeah, that would blow the internet up. 100%. Then in 2020, Nintendo Switch releases Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 Road to Boruto in Japan. Shout out to that.
The titles, man. The titles.
Yeah.
Gotta always have that extra flair, man. It's crazy.
They got to. And then PlayStation 4 released The Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero in Japan. That is your This Day in Gaming segment of April 23rd, 2022. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I want to thank you for rocking with us for this over 3 hours of content on this Saturday morning, getting into your afternoon. Hopefully we gave you the energy boost that you needed to get that weekend started. Bring you that live, raw, uncut, authentic, organic gaming content for your week, and right here with Living Splitscreen. Hey, thank you for joining us on episode 53. Chat, y'all have been nothing but amazing again. The differing opinions, the constant conversation, you guys always do that. And it's an amazing thing. Again, we love to see the conversations here. Everybody's keeping it civil. Nobody's attacking each other personally. That's an amazing thing. Again, what is the point of having this conversation? What is the point of opening it up if we can't even have just civil conversation? We don't always have to agree. We can agree to disagree. We don't have to say yes to everything. But we should be able to come together as a collective, enjoy gaming, enjoy the industry, enjoy each other's company, and overall just have civil conversation, man. I think that's a beautiful thing to be able to do. But with that said, Pong, another week being able to sit down with you on a Saturday, just getting into what we love, man. And not only that, just having your presence here, you being a part of this, again, like I said last week, it's been nothing but a blessing. It's been nothing but an amazing journey thus far. Episode 53, the start of season 2, doesn't make it any less of that. So, yeah, man, much love. But to lead the people to victory on my end, you can find me, Steel Rain, everywhere. Steel Rain, the T is a 7. If it has a search bar, you'll type it in. You will find me. I've tested it out myself, so I know that it will work for you. Xbox, PC, whatever it may be, type it in. Hit me up in the DMs. Let's chat it up. Let's game, whatever you like to get into. And I don't mind telling you, I'm not going to be one of those guys who's going to blow you off or ignore your messages. I'll just tell you, hey, man, I'm currently doing this. You can rock with me if you can. If not, hey, I'm minding my business right now. So I don't have a problem in saying that. Again, as an individual, you should be able to keep it real with people, man. I don't no need to hide, at least on my end. Now, won't lie to y'all, I might hide a little bit in place of Fortnite because it's been kind of interesting. I'm not going to lie. The no build thing, hey, they did something. They did something there. I still don't like the mechanics of the game. The guns don't really hit for me personally. So there are still a lot of things that I am going to stick to my laurels on as far as that goes. But it's kind of it's opened that can of worms a bit, man. I want to see what Factions is going to do. I want to see what Gears is going to end up doing. It's made me kind of look at third-person games a little bit more because I do want there to be more third-person shooters, especially in the open world, or if we're going to do a battle royale games other than PUBG. Things like that, because I tried to get back into PUBG and it just didn't hit the right notes for me, man. Like, I just don't like it like that. But with that being said, Pong, lead the people to victory. Let them know where they can find you, man. And yeah, man, wonderful episode 53, man.
Heck yeah, brother. What a great show. Had so much fun with these discussions. We have great discussions every weekend. Let's not
100%.
fool ourselves. You and I believe that we have the best discussions of all time. So, but this was awesome. A lot of great flow again today. Like you said, the chat was amazing. Again, all of you, love having you all here. And, you know, the 100%. Warning shots just saying, hey, let's not go personal. It's not to be, you know, it's not to be the teacher versus the students. It's just, again, I saw the chat getting fired up, and that's good. We love that. We love the back and forth. We love the discussions. Just wanted to let everybody know where everything stands. And again, the mods are here to keep that the way it is. Again, it's never anything personal out there whatsoever. You know, different shows run their chats different ways. Steel and I don't talk about it a lot, right? So I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood how our chat runs, and that's it. But we love you all. And again, the conversations were great. Respect every single one of you for coming out, supporting us, and having those discussions along with us. That's what we do here, right? And again, we're non-console centric, so we're going to talk about all things, and that's the cool part about this community. So love you all. Thank you for joining us. Steel, as always, brother. Of course, you know how much I appreciate you, all the respect I have for you and what you do behind the scenes. And season 2 could not have started off any better. So that's right, episode 53. Living Split Screen in the books. Thank you all for being here. Much love. Pong Soul over on Xbox, Pong Soul on Twitter. You guys know the drill there. Follow me, I'll follow you back. Again, this is a big day today. So right after the show, I want you to hop over. They're about 10 minutes away from CIS 2022, Wandering Dutch's channel. 100%. Go check out all this indie goodness coming up. Man, the chat's already lit over there. It's going to be a huge show. Again, Greenberg's going to make an appearance, everything else. So go check this out. Just hop right over there. Whatever you're doing, it's going to be a big day. Then tonight, end your Saturday. Shot Podcast, episode 250, PTK Blam channel. That's right. Blam, Fuzzy Belvedere, who was in the chat. Shout out to you, brother, myself, and the one, the only Tim Dog is going to be there tonight for episode 250. You know we're going to have a great time. That's how you end your Saturday night. The Shot Podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time tonight. And then I won't be there next week, but you always know the drill. Check out Xbox Factor Podcast on Tuesday. Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick, amazing member of this community. I know he'll be listening to this. Brother, thank you for all that you do and all the support you've shown me and Steel and everybody else you have in this community. Check out the Xbox Factor Podcast Tuesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Mav is there when he can. Boxenberger's there. VJ's there. And we got N64 Josh is now there as well. 100%. So please check out that on Tuesday. Thursday, PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM, two-man show. We do have guests from time to time over there. We've got a big one coming up this next Thursday. Ooh. Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. The one, the only, the man with the million, Rand L4 is going to join Mav and myself on that show. So Fun Speculation is the channel. Be there Thursday night. We're going to have a great show. Maybe this week we'll get some big news dropping. That would be awesome. And then Friday, Xbox Ultimate back on Fun Speculations channel, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. You know the drill there. We just have a freaking just awesome rip-roaring show. Yeah. So join us. We go, oh man, it gets crazy over there. But it's always a great time. 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time, Friday nights. Otherwise, be back here next week, episode 54. You know the drill, right? The Living Split Screen. Share us out. Tell a friend. Have them come up on by. See if they like what we do, because you know Steel and I are going to be bringing it live, raw, and uncut, and full of energy. Yes. Again, shout out to everybody out at PAX East doing all the good work. I saw the Iron Lords have been dropping some of their interviews all day long on Twitter. So after, they're freaking, they, oh man, I can't wait to watch them. But go check those out after CIS 2022 over on Wandering Dutch's channel. Everybody, it's the golden age of gaming, people. If you can't tell, we're excited. We're freaking excited. We hope you all are too. So get out there, play something, play what you love what you play. And I'm going to talk to you all real soon. Have a good weekend, everybody. Love you.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, y'all stay easy, stay blessed, stay godly. We'll see y'all next week on episode 54. And with that being said, go jump over to CIS, man. We got a lovely
Wandering Dutch's channel. That's right. Wandering Dutch.
Yes, go to Wandering Dutch's channel. For those that are listening on the audio side, hey, you might see some Living Split Screen on that CIS too. Come check us out on YouTube. Much love. Y'all stay easy.
Later.